Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday. I'm your host, Mr. Kadish. I assume everyone here knows to call me Mr. Kadish. We're doing a special in-studio show today because one of our fantastic panel of nerds has arrived right from LA.
Oh, me.
Paulie from Latino Slant. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well, Mr. Kadish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great to be here.
You know, your friend, Mexican Iron Man, he basically said that everyone must refer to me as that. So,
Señor Kadish,
yes.
Vámonos, pues, vámonos.
You don't have to do that.
Well, what I'm not going to do is call you
Kadish.
Mr. Butters.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I'm going to call you that.
Speaking of Mr. Butters,
Okay.
Mr. Butters is
I'm
here.
just going to start calling you Cheech or something.
Cheech is cool. Mr. Butters is my dog. He literally is my dog.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, it's cool.
Anyways.
Whatever, man. No, here we are, Matt.
Yes. How are you doing, Mr. Butters?
I'm a little bit annoyed because you're making me change up my routine today, making me come to the studio. That was all you.
It's me. It's me.
Like I'm used to like sitting around in my underwear at this time of the day. And
wait, you still are?
Well,
I'm in my underwear right now.
I got pants on.
Speaking of pants, Nadia's here. How you doing, Nadia?
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you.
Nadia.
Her triumphant return to the Salty Nerd Studios.
I know. I'm here for Paulie.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, I said let's do this let's do it live, but can Nadia be here because it's just great to like meet everyone in person.
Yeah.
I've been with Señor Kadish a couple times earlier this year. This is our first time hanging out. So yeah, good to have you.
It won't be the last.
Hey.
And we also have our remote expert panel of nerds calling in. Brian from the Popcast is here. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, good to be here, bro. Good to see you, Paulie again, and finally meet Nadia.
Yep.
And of course, Mr. Butters, which is what I call my penis. So.
Whoa, jeez.
What did I?
Wow,
walk in?
you're pushing it, bro.
Paulie, what is Spanish for penis?
No. No, I'm not gonna. No,
That's what my girlfriend calls it too.
Oh, wait a minute.
No.
No. And we have Tom Connors Jr. from Midnight's Edge. How you doing?
Oh,
Tom?
that's the name of it.
Nice to see Tom's
Hi.
here, not eating cereal.
Oh, I'm not eating cereal.
No, not eating cereal. All right, guys. So let me call up our stuff here. I'm not used to doing this from the
I
studio.
know, everything's out of whack.
Everything
today.
is out of whack today.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great people in the chat.
Yeah.
So, saying hello to everyone. Hail to everyone in the chat.
Yeah,
Yes.
And all the people that came from.
I choose to ignore the chat.
Yeah. You
They're-
have to sometimes.
They sit there and they just jibber jabber all the time.
Well, they
And,
talk to each other, which is nice.
As long as if they want to send some super chats, I'll pay attention to them.
Hell yeah.
But
And for those of you wondering where Odin is, he will be here eventually. He is putting his kids to nap time. But once his kids are down, he usually shows up.
we actually have a really good chat.
Yes. And we want to give a big shout out to all of our top donators, Brian G, Scotty Dub. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We also have William Forbes out there somewhere in the ether. Mexican Iron Man, who is our most consistent donator, who has already donated today, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. And of course, our top gifted subs. We have the Queen of Gifted Subs, Jillian N, Bob Dorsey, Sam Schwager, Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the help.
Are you
And the
beautiful?
support.
Are you okay today?
No,
You are
not.
very low key, like really like everything seems a little like 20% off.
I've
I
been
mean,
up since
normally he's
4
pretty
a.m.
like
Why were
he's
you
pretty
up at
chill,
4 a.m.?
but today is extra chill.
It's kind of freaking me out a little bit, to be honest.
Why were you up?
I was up at 4 a.m. because I just woke up and couldn't go back to sleep.
I mean, I was up at 4 a.m., but I
That's
drove
the
over
kind of
here.
thing serial killers do too.
Yeah.
I just drove around in my
Yes,
car.
Tom, don't out me. So I am
Right.
still avoiding the police. All right, guys. So big shout out to Mexican Iron Man for $10. The number 2 Latino non-YouTuber is on the road, ready for the show, and the number 1 Latino on the net. Let's go, nerds! So
Let's go.
Vámonos.
yes, Mexican Iron Man representing.
Yeah.
Who's Mexican
Mike.
Iron Man?
He's one. We'll just give him number one. I do want to do a quick shout out to my gal Romy. She's listening. She just woke up in LA with the puppies. What's up, baby? Let's have a good time.
All right, and we've got Samuel Main, who
Yeah.
has gifted 1 Salty Nerd podcast
Nice.
membership. Thank you, Samuel. And not to be outdone, we have the obligatory 1 Salty Nerd gifted podcast membership from Eric Winberg. Thank you, Eric. And Major Chai Chai gifted 5 Salty Nerd podcast memberships. Thank you, Major Chai Chai. That brings us up to 7. Is that correct, Mr. Butters?
Yeah,
Yeah, are you keeping track?
I am.
Is there a goal you guys set?
There is a goal, and we're about to get to
Yeah.
it. but
Okay, all right, because
we get
I'm
through these.
inspired by you guys, but I'm gonna wait.
Speaking of inspiration, we have the one, the only, our top super chatter, Scotty Dub for $99.99, aka
Nice.
$100,
That's amazing.
because Apple likes to penny pinch.
Did you
So,
say $99?
I did.
99 bucks.
Yep.
Damn.
99, 99.
After the cut, it's what, like 70 bolas?
Something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So Scotty wrote this in Spanish, and
Oh,
I have
boy.
no idea.
Oh,
how
Or
to-
7,000 pesos.
Yeah,
Where's it at?
it's up on the screen.
Oh. I can't read that. I got 54-year-old eyes,
No,
dog.
it should be on your screen
Oh, okay.
because it's called up.
Oh, right here, starred. Caballeros y amigos todos, solo un poco regalo hay para ustedes. Buen día y buen fin de semana a mis queridos y salt y nerds. con mi gran respeto, Scotty Dub. Beautifully. Thank you, Scotty Dub.
You want to
Muchísimas
translate
gracias.
that for
What
those
did
of us
he
who
say?
don't habla?
Okay, one, why don't you guys speak fucking Spanish?
I should.
Wow.
I should.
A
Step on
couple of
toes.
words. Was any words there? And two, it
I think
costs
I got
extra.
respecto.
Hey,
Hey,
man,
Salty.
when,
It costs extra to translate, by the way.
when I was in school,
Oh, wait a minute, I'm not getting paid.
when I was in school, they required us to take German of all things. So I can still
took
count to 10.
Japanese.
I
But
took
you know-
I took French.
I did a video this week on that. Like, I think every American should learn a language. Absolutely. We get just too isolated
But
sometimes.
we don't need to learn another language because everybody else learns our language.
on the end of that video, I said, and you and anyone who comes here, you need to learn English.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I-
Okay,
on-
let me
on-
translate. Oh, go.
On a serious note, if I was planning on moving permanently or for a couple years to another country, I would make an effort to
Well,
at least be able to pass through society.
that's
you
the
know?
big difference, Nadia,
Mhm.
with America and other countries. You can't speak for an extended amount of time English over there.
Yeah.
You got to learn their language. We're a lot more tolerant.
When I
Yeah, we are.
lived over in Jordan for a year, my cousins wouldn't sit next to me for the first half of it because they didn't want to use their English. Because over
Mhm.
there, it's required for them to learn English in school.
So what's that say? What-
Oh, okay. All right. Caballeros y amigos. So it's like, gentlemen and friends, everyone. A little gift, a little gift for all
Something.
for you guys, para ustedes.
Hmm.
Buen día, good day to you, and good fin de semana, good weekend.
Okay.
To mis queridos, I mean, literally, it's like my loves, but it's done with we use those words and those phrases
Gotcha.
like a friendly,
My
amable.
brothers. Yeah.
Well, it's con cariño. It's with love. Okay, don't think.
So
of like
Scotty
that.
Dub's hitting on us.
See, I was trying to tell you guys not to think like that.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
But-
Oh.
Like, hey, here's a donation to my favorite nerds. Have a great day, everybody.
You got it with mi gran
Okay.
gran respect. My with a lot of respect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Scotty.
Well, Mr. Butters, we are a multilingual podcast today,
At least we are.
which is good.
It's good.
Anthony Mark for $199. This live stream just got a major Nadia boost.
Yeah.
He is such a fan of yours.
He's so
He
sweet.
is such a fan of yours. It's really funny.
I
Yeah.
mean, all right, guys in the chat. All right, she is that beautiful. So soak it up. So
I'm never gonna say no to Paulie when he asks me to come on.
no, it's just great. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah. Speaking of beautiful, we got a Kenneth LaRoque member for 6 months. Member
Kenneth!
chat.
Nice.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Kenneth. How you
Hey,
doing? And we also have Rolando A. Ramirez for
Wow.
$5. Did I pronounce that right?
Rolando.
Okay. Hello, good peoples. Guess what Jeremy from Gays and Gamers is now a comic villain.
I
Good to
saw
see a
that.
gay man being represented. Hail.
Did you see that?
I did not.
Do you know what he's talking
Is he
about?
talking about the Piers Morgan thing?
No, that's his appearance. He's talking about a comic book that where there's 2 panels, and it talks. I don't know if it's a Blue Beetle comic book. I swear to God, this is out, and Blue Beetle's best friend gets radicalized.
Oh no!
And there's 4 panels where it shows him being radicalized over time. And there's one YouTuber that looks just like Jeremy.
Oh no!
And he's like in the
And
he's like
getting radicalized watching Geeks and Gamers. Is that what's happening?
well everything
Oh, no.
right? And those panels are out. It's somewhere on a YouTube. Do you want me to find it for you guys, or
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
it's a trip?
That's wild.
It's wild.
I honestly have not been paying a lot of attention to what's going on. I've been immersed in my other project. but-
Speaking of not paying attention, we have a new goal for today's gifted
Yeah.
subs, which is Mr. Butters dictated 20 new members. Isn't that right, Mr.
I
Butters?
did. I said 20. Let's do 20 today.
20.
Vente.
Yes, so we already have 7, so we're almost there, almost halfway there. And guys, don't forget to comment and clip our stuff. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we've been putting out highlights from previous episodes out on our channel. But also want to give a big shout out to the fact that you guys can clip these things just by going to the app and hitting either the remix or the clip button. And if you're watching us live, there's that little scissor icon there. Not to be too sexual about it, but you click that little scissor button, and it is
Scissor it.
basically, yes, to scissor our stream and put it out
Scissor
there.
the stream.
for-
You make things so awkward sometimes. I swear to God.
I keep forgetting Brian's here, and all I hear is.
I know.
And you just randomly hear scissor.
And
it.
there's
I think they
there's a
forgot that we're
scissors-
both
there's a
here,
scissors
Brian.
icon on there, guys, to clip our stuff with. Don't make it sexual, okay? Don't make it weird.
Or
Yes, that's
do.
my job.
It's your
This is my job.
prerogative.
And guys, I want to give you a heads up that when the live stream is over, we will be automatically redirecting you to the Real McCoy podcast, aka Mephisto's movie reviews.
Oh, nice.
So at the end of every Salty Saturday, we just send everyone over there. And Nadia is actually saying, "Fuck Gina Carano, I'm leaving after about an hour."
Yes.
But you're actually going to be on Mephisto's podcast, right?
Talking about Barbarian. Yep.
Talking about Barbarian, which was a fantastic movie,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah, we liked it. We
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah.
It was
A
crazy.
little
Barbie
weak third
sucked.
act, but I think the first act.
I mean, chiming in just on time. Tom Connors, I hate everything. Junior.
Yeah, Barbie sucked.
Not Barbie, Barbarian.
I don't know what that is.
He's being silly.
The only barbarian I know is Conan.
He's the best barbarian.
No, is Paulie.
Oh,
Ouch.
I think you need
Paulie
to
the
double
Barbarian.
it up to match Arnold.
Yeah,
They-
yeah,
how about Gru?
Did you use
You're the
flex
barbarian.
and say ouch?
yeah. It
Oh,
just hurt.
Oh, it hurt.
my
It hurt.
hurt my finger on my own bicep.
All right, guys. Speaking of
Yeah.
biceps, let's talk a little bit about Paul Atreides and Dune Messiah, which is going to be the next movie in the Dune franchise. Now, by the way, guys, again, sorry for the discombobulation here because I'm not at my normal setup. However,
Blame Paulie.
yes,
Hashtag.
yes, blame Paulie.
Hashtag.
Hashtag blame Paulie. So guys, basically when Dune 2 came out,
Hmm.
Denis Villeneuve, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it right. He basically said, okay, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to figure out what I want to do for Dune Part 3. And I'm not in any rush because it's a 12-year gap. And so I want people to age and look older and stuff like that. Well, apparently, according to Deadline, Denis Villeneuve has decided that he's had enough of that. He's like, I went out to the woods and I got bored. And so, like, I'm coming back to civilization. So, like, he's actually much further along in the creative process for Dune Part 3 than he was expecting to be. And now he's expecting to start shooting the movie in 2026. And
Wow.
so he's fast tracking this thing, and it is going to be an adaptation of Dune Messiah. And everyone's wondering, because he changed some stuff, some very important stuff at the end of Dune Part 2 from the books, how this Part 3 is going to play out.
Mhm.
So I wanted to get the panel's opinion on this. Let's start with some of our remote people. Brian from the Popcast.
Hey,
Did you like Dune 2?
No, Dune 2 sucked. Dune 1 sucked, and Denis Villeneuve or whatever his name is just a bummer of a person. I don't like the Dune series whatsoever. I know there's people that do, and congratulations to. But I think it's boring. I think that Timothy Chalamet, or whatever his name is, looks like he's on Quaaludes. He looks like he's just constantly just high on downers, and everything about that movie is just so boring and sucks so bad to me. And I hate that every time it comes out, they're like, "Oh, we gotta watch it, we gotta review it," and I'm just like, oh, it's just it sucks so bad. I can never get past some of these like long drawn out shots where he's just where the camera is just staring at the sky for like 30 seconds straight before it finally zooms down to the back of Timothy's chiseled rear end before he walks through the sand and then blurs out of existence.
You just don't appreciate good art.
I guess I don't, because it's boring.
Secretly loves
entertainment requires to be entertained. You need to entertain me.
What about Zendaya bitch face?
Zendaya is the worst. Horrible casting. Just
yeah, we did a whole roundtable discussion. I think Tom was there. Is like anyone else but Zendaya would have been better.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Jen Ortega.
Anyone.
Guys, speaking of resting bitch face, I want to welcome OMB Reviews.
Dang.
Welcome, Odin.
Of all the
Welcome, Odin.
insults, like,
Yeah,
That's not an insult. People tell me I have resting Kadish face all the time.
well, it's true. You do. So.
No, it's resting Kadish voice.
How's it going, Odin? Good to see you, man.
Oh, good to see you too, man. Awesome that y'all have the whole studio set up today.
Yeah. It's a hashtag blame Paulie.
All right. So Odin, we were just talking about the fact that Denis Villeneuve is going to be fast tracking Dune Part 3 after he said that he was going to slow walk it. But now I think Warner Brothers probably threw a bunch of money at him after the failure of Joker, and they're like, "Hey, can you get this other franchise of ours that's the only one that we're doing right now out really quick?" And I think he said yes. What's your take on Dune Part 2 and also Dune Part 3 getting fast tracked?
Well, I think it's honestly it's down to the fact that and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tom, but I believe Dune is a part of the Warner Brothers / Legendary contract. Where like Legendary, so like basically just like how the Godzilla films in reality don't make a lot of money as far as like actual net profits. The only reason why they do actually make money after the fact though is because they get a much better deal from China, and that's where they make a lot of their money. And so my guess is that it's not that necessarily Dune is this massive IP. It's not this billion-dollar franchise type film, but because of the contracts that they have with Legendary being involved, that to me seems much more likely as to why they would fast track this, because it's not that it's going to bring in a lot of money on the surface. It's going to be because of those dealings that they have behind the scenes and how they're able to make money after theatrical release. That's probably why they're justifying this one, especially as you mentioned with Joker's massive downfall and just how much money they've lost on that one. So can't say I'm that surprised to hear this news. But it is, man, I'm so tired of these films already, because I like the first one. I like part 1 quite a bit. And then part 2, just honestly, the changes that they made, we've talked about this before, but the changes they made, the Chani's character really just destroyed the narrative for me amongst many other things they did. And so the way they set up part 3 also, it's like, okay, so the next film is going to be the Chani film, and no one wants that.
No.
So, yeah.
You know what they need to do at Legendary is make a new Pacific Rim movie.
Yes.
Pac Rim. Yeah.
Pac Rim. Make more Pac Rim.
That would make $1 billion.
Well, they have to redeem themselves after the second one.
After Pac Rim 2.
First one's good. Second one's
Yeah, I love the first one.
Well, I mean,
like
like
Pac-Man.
Pac Rim 2 didn't hit. They just undid everything the first one did. It was so weird. Really bad choices.
John Boyega, he did great in that movie. It's a fantastic film. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Speaking of not knowing what we're talking about, Tom Connors.
Hello.
What's your take on Dune Part 3 being fast tracked by?
I like turtles.
I think it has less to do with Joker and more to do with, like everybody's kind of saying here, the fact that the second film did so well at the box office. And I mean, we all kind of, I think some of us were taken by surprise. I wasn't so much, because I knew the first movie could have done better had it not been during COVID and released at the same time on HBO Max. And that might be another reason why this is happening, because I'm sure the second film did very well on Max. We just got a trailer at the same time drop as this announcement for the Sisterhood of Dune. So they're pushing the hell out of that. Yeah, because that's what we needed more of, is more of the Bene Gesserit stuff, because we didn't get enough of that in the movies, right? You know, so what's a mentat? Ask a normal person what a mentat is, and they wouldn't be able to tell you.
Tom, have you seen the new trailer for the Sisterhood of Dune?
It's boring as piss.
Really? I thought it was really good.
No, I don't care about the Sisterhood anymore. I know so much about them.
I saw it. I don't care for this world, so.
Yeah, you're not even invested.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Also, with what
And not
Tom
only
just
that,
said.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say what Tom just said. It's boring as hell. That's exactly why Matthew Cage would like it, because he likes boring as hell things.
Oh, it's so boring though.
They're in the locker. Jesus Christ! What?
I mean, if had a show about the Mentats or somebody else in the world that we hadn't.
Don't worry, you got Tom to
really investigate in. It might be interesting, but no, like at the end of the day, I'm with you guys. Zendaya was horribly cast. I don't know how they.
Yeah. Y'all having technical issues?
No, was it just me?
I think somebody just showed up at the office, and Dutch Butters had to go and.
Oh, okay.
And they want something, and only I know where it is. So
I
guess
try not
am
to
I even
be
talking here? Can you guys hear me? Or?
I hear you.
No, you're
I
fine.
hear you,
You're fine,
bro.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I
fine.
don't know, I've been getting interrupted the whole show. So.
Oh God.
Yeah, my biggest problem with that entire series is that it's boring. Like, and I'm gonna say it every time you come out with a boring film, and you spend all this insane amount of money trying to showcase your art, but not actually telling a cohesive, exciting, emotional story, then I'm not interested. And that's what he did. Maybe Denny is a great creator, but he needs to be reined in by some suits that are like, you know what? You don't need 6-minute shots of sand dunes, bro. Like, take it down a notch.
I like those shots of sand dunes.
Yeah, I do too. I honestly, I just want him to be. I want him to go back to more independent films. Like I would love to see another film like Prisoners. I would love to see even another film like the first film that he made, the first feature film. Oh man, I'm blanking on the name of it.
Sicario.
So yeah, Sicario is fantastic too. Oh my gosh, like seriously, the only bad thing that was about the second one was that he didn't direct it, and it was still good because the writing was still there.
It was just a little more heightened. It was a little more extra, but I still enjoyed the second one.
I really like Prisoners. I
Prisoners
saw
was
that
great
for the first time.
Arrival was fantastic.
The Rival's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of the filmmaking of it. I thought it looked beautiful. It's one of the really great, cinema events this year was Dune 2, but story-wise, it just fell off.
Was that this year?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the year.
It felt like it was 3 years ago.
It does, because after you see it, it felt like you're, damn.
But
for me, I think Homeboy just he's got what, Cleopatra lined up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was the only thing he's got lined up. So I just think that scheduling changes happened, and it's like, oh, okay, we have a pocket here.
And it's Zendaya playing Cleopatra?
Correct. But
God
I'm talking
damn it.
about the
I was
pocket
joking. That's a real thing?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think so.
God, thank God.
But yeah, I just think because of Chalamet getting bigger and bigger and getting his schedule, I just think it's schedules that, okay, this is when we can get the stars have aligned. It's sooner than later. Let's go.
What kind of projects does Chalamet have lined up?
Well, he's gonna, Bob Dylan's coming out. He's probably getting nominated.
Oh.
I don't know what he's working
and
on.
yes, he has casted Zendaya as fucking.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so stupid. Oh my God.
Wait,
It's
what?
actually not. It's actually
Why
not.
not just cast a Middle Eastern woman actress?
Well, I mean,
She's
Zendaya,
Greek. She's Greek. But honestly, Zendaya has no energy. She has no energy, and she's not very attractive.
but she's
It
a
sounds like
global
that's
name.
rumor.
She's got a huge.
There's a lot of global
following.
names, though. You don't need to
And-
have. Like, who cares about this woman? Oh God.
Well, I'm just kind of like thinking how these bozos think, and they saw her people come out for a couple of weeks to support challengers, which ended up making money.
Mhm.
So she keeps making money, whether she's lucky or not.
Challenger.
She has one of the
Is that
biggest social media followings.
She's got something like what,
It's a
30 or
tennis
60
movie?
million?
Oh, what's the
Yeah.
Menage?
It's the tennis movie where they get all gay with each
Challengers,
other in a
yeah.
hotel room. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm thinking. Besides him being French, so
It's not gay if you're in a three-way, Brian. You know this.
gosh.
All right.
Speaking of-
Have you seen the movie?
Which one? Challengers? Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about Matt. It
No,
was definitely gay.
not at
She ends up just watching them make out and get gay with each other.
Oh,
Super
okay.
gay.
Well, cool.
Sounds like
Yeah.
tennis. Sounds like tennis.
Oh, horrible. Hate it.
Tennis is gay.
Tennis is super
What?
gay. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
The outfits alone.
Yeah, it's just
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
I love that clip.
Cadis
Tell-
loves that clip.
I would love for you to say that to like Novak Djokovic, like to his face, like
You
just be
are
like,
gay.
"You are gay."
gay?
And you know what he
Why are
would
you
do?
gay?
He'd actually
I
probably.
know. I don't.
Gay.
Anyone here in tennis shorts?
never
None of you dudes.
never gonna happen.
None of you dudes, especially Tom Connors.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if that Zendaya Cleopatra thing's even happening because that was announced clear back in 2017.
They keep renouncing it. Didn't they announce it again with Gal?
Scotty
Well,
Dub
that's a
said somebody-
totally different project as far as I know.
But
I'd watch it. I'd watch it with Gal. It makes sense with Gal.
According to the most trustworthy name in news source information, there's been no casting officially announced on IMDb. So
Yeah,
Okay.
this
you
is
go.
what I grabbed was from 2017. but-
Yeah.
Yay!
So again, I'm thinking that the stars align with Chalamet and Zendaya to get the next Dune done. That's it.
But did everyone watch the trailer for the new
Yes.
Sisterhood of Dune show?
Nobody liked it but you,
All right,
Matt.
so-
Get over
Yeah,
it.
I
I
fell
haven't-
asleep
I
halfway through. Halfway through the 2-minute trailer, I
just
fell
want to
asleep.
say I haven't seen it. Okay, didn't have time.
But it's full of women, so
But
I'm
I heard it was
pretty sure it sucks.
huge.
I
Women.
love you.
That's all they can do anymore is
I
make
actually
shows
thought that
about
the new trailer-
girls.
I thought that the new trailer was actually like really interesting because it got into more like the behind the scenes, like political,
Like the movies
machinations.
did?
So Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, like these are
Matt, I
new
know
characters,
everything I
like-
need to know about the Bene Gesserit already.
yeah, we don't need to know anymore.
To Matt's point, I do
All
think
right.
that it has that feeling to it, though. I do agree with you. I do think it
Angry.
has that like
Young
typical
man.
HBO Max feel, like one of the shows that you typically would see on Max, and so that's a good thing because you want it to fit in with the content that you're already providing. And so if you have that same look and feel as you would have for the Game of Thrones, for the House of the Dragon, like that kind of thing, that's obviously the audience that you're going for. And so I think that that's probably going to help. The question I would say, kind of going more to Tom's point, is I don't know how well the story is necessarily going to sell people on it. And
Oh yeah,
so-
the world
Well,
looks
I'll-
fine. The
I'll say
cinematography,
this.
all that matches the movie
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
I'll say this though. HBO Max has the best track record for original series. The Penguin's killing it right
Yep.
now.
Absolutely.
The fact that this is coming out and Denis Villeneuve, he's one of the executive producers, and I think
Yeah.
he's deciding to go forward based off of what he's seen from the show. I find that very, very optimistic.
It looks like a very
So
well
is
put
this-
together series.
Is this
So-
going to be a bridge show to the next movie?
No, this is
No,
this
it's
is
like
a,
Or past?
10,000 years
Yeah.
ago.
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah,
this is about
that'd be
the
too
start of-
easy. No, let's go backwards again.
That
Every-
Penguin
yeah,
show is so cute.
Backwards,
that,
backwards,
I'm
backwards.
laughing at Kadish right now and Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
He forgot all
To add to
about
that,
Yeah.
To add to that, I think that HBO knows its audience,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, this makes total sense. I mean, I'll check it out. It was
Yeah.
it was all right. It was all right.
It's not like
I mean,
I'm not
it's
gonna
got
not
women
watch
in
it.
it. I'm a woman. I've got to check it out.
Oh my god, is that how you're gonna vote?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it.
It's
For
got
no
Mark
reason.
Strong.
I'm gonna watch it because it has dudes in it.
Any hot dudes in it? Any like?
What's his name? Travis Flamel?
Yeah,
okay.
Travis Flamel from Vikings.
Oh, Flamel.
and
Flamel.
It's not
No.
not like a flannel shirt.
So like videos.
It's like
and,
a
Mark
Flamel shirt.
Strong. Mark Strong's in it.
Mark
Ah,
Strong.
I do like Mark Strong.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
all right.
there was a
I mean,
whole
everyone's-
war with robots that they're like kind of bypassing here too in this story. It seems like
Yeah, the
Just to
Butlerian Jihad.
tell us more. Yeah, just to tell us more
Can you
about the
say that again?
witches.
The Butlerian Jihad.
That's a cool.
Yeah.
That sounds neat.
I'm gonna
The
throw it out there.
Butlerian-
This is probably like a very obscure thing to say, but Mark Strong might be the most underrated solid actor in like modern history. You think about all the films he's in, all the projects he's in, and
I mean,
it's like
there's
he's
a
always
couple of
solid.
them, Odin. There's a couple of them, Odin, but he's up there. He's
Yeah.
he's gotten up
Tucci.
there. I think
Oh, that
David
Tucci, yeah.
Strathian is also one of those guys.
yeah.
The
The films they're in are not
actually
always
got
good.
nominated for
Yeah.
an Oscar a few years ago. But Strong is also in the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Paulie, speaking of strong, I'm going to need your strong, translation skills
Oh my
here
God.
for a super chat from Scotty Dub for $19.99.
Scotty Dub. Wait, that's French.
Oh,
It's no, I'm not even.
Jeez, Matt. Oh, it's foreign language.
Joseph le don, Nadia.
You gotta do it.
It's
You
mon
just swore
cher.
at us all.
I think he
Bonsoir.
translated
Mes petits,
Vous-
mon chéri, mi Nadia, et mon cher ami, Monsieur Kadish. Kadish. What is? Oh, come on, this is hard. Thanks for
Vos
bringing the
es tu
ever-loving
lesman
Nadia
hus.
back to all caps,
Etu
and
enganlurat.
and my soft spot is for the Arab ladies. Hi-oh!
Oh, who's
all
an Arab
have-
lady?
I like how in French he says in English it is this.
Darth Maul's lower half for €5. I cannot believe that such a well-made movie could be such a bad adaptation. That stupid Gen X, Gen Z conflict, Channy being a bitch, and no navigators.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it
another thing
went from
too.
like. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that we could explore a little bit more about the navigators. We don't know jack squat about them.
Mhm.
And little problems in the first one that I saw have gotten bigger and bigger as far as the film adaptation, to where it's like, this is not Chani.
Where in the book series does it get weird? Isn't there like a weird?
Well, they're just changing her
Children.
whole MO.
Well, isn't there Shawnee's children or like they're like?
Yeah, that's in
half-
Children of Dune,
Okay, so that's the
Is that
weird.
the second?
second book. But
Okay.
like, and that's what he's going to end up doing. And this is where I'm saying before is I don't know how he's going to compromise the story now, because he set things up in a way that you can't really finish it. Not the way the books do.
Not the way the books do.
Yeah, you're gonna
Especially
have
when especially Tom, when she said at the end, peace, I'm out. Let me go Uber worm. And it's just
Well, yeah.
like, you're supposed to stand by your man. That's what you did in the books. You stood by your man. Also, there's a whole death that happened in the books that that doesn't happen here, because they have their kids killed in the book, which was
a big deal. Yeah.
big deal for Paul, to where he started.
It
going
pretty
full
much
time.
sets off the war, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right. He justifies going Darth
also,
Vader.
Aaliyah was born, and she was a part of that whole climax.
She was a great singer.
that's another thing that made no sense to me, because now you
got
gotta.
here.
Were you?
Yeah. Like she'd still be alive if it wasn't for Diddy.
Oh, darkness.
Yes.
You're right, man. You're right. Okay.
Tom, did you want to finish your thought?
No, that was you guys are fine. You said Diddy. I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
Right.
Right. Well, guys, speaking of Diddy,
Oh no.
Disney seems to be allowing racism to run rampant amongst their actors.
Finally.
Yay.
Yes.
Finally.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, so basically, one of the actors from the Acolyte who played what's her name? Well, her name is Jodie Turner-Smith. She basically came out and she lambasted Disney for not sticking up for their actors when they were facing an enormous amount of racism. But here's the thing, guys: actors of color who are in good shows never get criticism. It's only the people who are in the shitty shows. But I find it interesting that basically Disney, you can't find a more woke company than Disney. And yet all their actors are like, oh my God, you're not defending us against racism. You're not doing enough to help us, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to get your take on this, Paulie. What do you think about Disney's inherent systematic racism?
Yeah, down with it. Down with the system, man. That's what I don't know. It's really it's just really unfair. It's wrong, everyone.
Speak, Polly.
Yeah, you gotta
Preach.
Preach.
Racism is bad.
Racism bad.
Racism bad.
Man, white
White
gringos.
men bad.
Bad.
White gringos,
yeah.
muy bad.
Muy bad.
It's muy bad, and it's no bueno.
Zoot allure.
This is
That-
the
that's
weirdest.
Before we dump on her too much, I want to give her half a point. Can I give her half a point for not actually? I mean, she does kind of indirectly blame the fans, but she's actually going after the studio for once and not us directly, right? Like that, I'll give her credit for. The rest, she's stupid.
Yeah,
But,
she's just. I'm not giving her that. Last year she came out in one of those.
You're not wrong.
The D23. I don't.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
channels
Yes,
she's on.
queen.
She went up there. She was like, "Well, it's about time, because Star Wars was just so patriarchal.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, dog. Let's see how your show does. Who are you?
And we saw how
Yeah. Who are you, Jody?
How's it going?
Yeah. How's that going? Listen. This is how you handle all that jazz, right? All that mess. You know if your work is good or bad. I'm talking about like if the show is good or bad. Carrie Ann Moss, she knew the show was bad.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And that's why she gave a very measured, great answer the other day. It's like, listen, work comes and goes. If it's a success, great. If it's not, on to the next. That's just how it is. Roman can tell you the same thing. It's like on to the next job. But you honestly, you don't talk bad about your company that hired you. You want to get hired again, right? It's all about an actor's reputation on the set with people. All right. Romy just worked on something really big.
Mhm.
I don't know. Some say it's great. Some say she's great. But
I don't say that. Some people say that.
I heard it was Congo too.
Some people say it.
Everybody thinks they're an activist now.
Well, that's one thing. What she's talking about, there's just certain things you don't do as a working actor. You don't poo-poo on the company that just hired you.
You
You
don't
want-
cruise it. You just thank the audience for seeing your movie, thank the studio.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. These people
Right.
think they're freaking activists now. They think they have Teflon skin, that nothing they say can be held against them because they have that brown skin shield.
It's because they are
it
activists.
pulls-
Wait a minute.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
well, I just made that up. But,
And he looked at me.
no, I did not.
Because they have that brown
tan.
skin.
like,
shield.
It's just, but
Yeah,
But
but
he
you
looked directly at Paulie.
but here's the thing too: is Romy went in there with 2 days' work that she had with this great role, and she rocked it. Executive producers loved her, director loved her. They're like, oh yeah, she's coming back.
Mhm.
And whether people say that all the time or not, love you, babe, we'll have you back. You never know how work begets more work. And why would you do this stuff?
Mhm.
You just, who are you speaking to? Because I can guarantee you at least 50% of your fans are going to hate what you just said.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well,
that's
what
what I
was
got.
interesting about this article, Nadia, is that they mentioned 3 actresses in particular.
Mm,
They mentioned Jodie Turner-Smith, I believe that's her name,
That's her. Yeah.
Amanda Stenberg, and Moses Ingram. And so it's like the 3 black actresses who were in, Obi-Wan and the Acolyte. And apparently they were the only targets of massive racism, and
Mhm.
Disney did not come to their defense.
Did they have any receipts other than that one or two few people that are
They're
like,
so sensitive.
everybody has that crazy contingent in their little
Well, but
groups, but
I'm sure social media being the way it is, that they probably got some hate directed at
Sure.
them.
Mhm.
But for the most part, the criticism was about the characters and the show.
bro, I get hate directed at me every week
Yeah.
just because I'm
I hate you right now.
Because he's white.
But I want to hear Nadia's take on this. So Nadia, why do you think these women in particular were singled out in this article?
Because I don't know, because I didn't watch the Acolytes, so I have no idea what has happened in the last couple of years with Star Wars. But I guess you could put 1 + 1 = 2. It's the fact that they're black women, and I guess I know. I'm surprised Rachel Zegler isn't on that list either. I wonder how her career is doing. I think it's a problem with women nowadays.
Yeah, that was
of
hardcore.
pushing forward this idea of victimhood always, instead of just, I think it'd be more dignity and more respect if you just held yourself together and said, yep, it was a crappy project, reviews were worse, but let me talk about my next project, instead of just blaming the color of your skin is why the project you were on
Mhm.
turned out to be so bad. So
Well, Tom Connors Jr., Amanda Stenberg famously put out a diss track on Juneteenth to
Mm.
take on all the haters.
Mm.
Do you think Disney, should have done something more, like put out their own diss track against all the racists out there?
Yes. They should
it
have
had
had
a pretty
Mickey
good
or
beat. I'm
Goofy
not gonna
out
lie, I
there.
played it a couple of times.
Yeah.
It had a pretty good beat. to
Goofy.
it.
Besides the lyrics, I mean, I
Yeah.
watched a few times.
Yeah, it was like jamming out to it.
Yeah, but Tom, do you think it's the studio's role to come out and defend its actors against toxicity and hatred and stuff like that.
Yeah, no. No, I kind of, to go off my point from before, is like, I'll give her half a point for actually kind of half-ass blaming the studio. I get where you guys are coming from, right? But the rest of the way to this is you do what you guys said in public, but behind the scenes, you should be blaming the people that made the show, and that's it. Nobody else's fault but theirs. I mean, even as an actor, you can still turn around and blame the director for making poor choices for you.
No
as an
way.
actor.
No way.
Yes, you can.
No,
Yes,
no,
you can.
privately.
Yes,
yeah.
that's what I said. Privately, not publicly.
Oh, I missed that word. Sorry.
I
Tom.
didn't get it either.
Carry on.
I said in
Carry
public,
on.
you say what you guys were saying, but in private, yeah. Because at the end of the day, nobody complained about the actors themselves, and this is the same thing. But notice they left out a few other people that they used to complain about all the time, getting supposed racism. But to answer Nadia's question, they're too white. That's the problem. They don't need them anymore. They don't need Rose Tico. They don't need Rachel Zegler. They don't need those people. They got more than enough black women now that they can boast up and say, "Oh, we're racist to these people," right? And I don't know if you're gonna. Go ahead.
Do you think Zegler would have a career after? Because I haven't heard of any upcoming projects other than Snow White. Had she not complained about both the studio and the fans?
She complained about the studio.
I think so, right? Didn't she complain
I
about
don't remember
Disney?
complaining.
She complained. No, she put down the original Snow White.
Okay.
And I think that was the rhetoric they were kind of just running with. Yeah, because Gal Gadot said the same thing. No one said shit about her saying it. So, like, yeah.
Well, she's pulled back, right? She hasn't really said anything since then. Because she's like, yeah, this is not really my tema. You know, it's like, I'm going to chill.
Get my paycheck and go.
Yeah, but, you know.
I think she's feeling the walls closing. No, I think you're right
Yeah.
in that sense. Like, the Snow White movie is a make or break movie for Rachel, because she's had, what, 2-3 big movies now, and outside of the Hunger Games one, none of them have hit. So
did that one hit?
That one did all right.
Bucks.
But it wasn't because of her. It was just because it was a Hunger Games movie. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And I will give her that she was you know, she was fine in the story, and then she had a couple songs, nice. But you know, it wasn't her film.
But yeah,
also
like, why would they bother? When they've got 3 black women, they can say, "Oh, these people were racist too," and then, you know, kind of reminds me of the whole thing going on with Cynthia, however you say her name, Evero or whatever, from the Wicked thing.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you planned on talking about that today too, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like,
well, that was a fan made.
It was
edit of Wicked, right?
Oh.
The Wicked,
but it all falls in the same category, right? Because they're running under this idea that we're a bunch of racist bigots, right? And even John Campea couldn't wrap his head around this stupid shit. It was like, okay, so he could defend the Wicked thing, but in his defense of the Wicked thing, he turns around and he throws every other fandom under the bus. He's like, no, this isn't like every other time when one of those basement dwelling fucks that go after Star Wars or
shut up,
Marvel.
John.
It's like, how is it not?
God, he's losing relevance so fast. It's crazy.
I know, right? But anyway, to me, the whole thing is just ridiculous.
And the fan-made poster was better, by the way.
Yes,
it was way better.
I've read the book. I love the musical. I'm tired of this BS. I just want to go see a movie. That's it. I just want to go.
Yeah, the color of your skin has nothing to do with the performance. We know that.
Well, remember saying that, because sometimes you guys are hypocrites. So, and I'll push back.
When
on
have
that.
I ever said? Unless they're miscast, as far as like if you're taking somebody who's
Remember saying that. Remember saying that it's about their talent. It's about their star power. Because
there's been plenty of times.
Okay, but so going back to this, at the end, you know, there are young actors who have just said, you know what, I'm off social media. And that is a great move. And that is what I recommend a lot of these actors to do. Get off social media. If you hired an assistant or hired your team, have them do it if you want, but make sure you prove what they say as well, or just get off social media.
You know what though, Paulie? That advice nowadays is really detrimental to a young actor's career, because one of the big reasons Zendaya keeps getting casted is because she's got such a huge social media following. And so like it's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things. But I want to throw this to Odin, because Odin, Jodie Turner-Smith basically said, it's just not fair not to say anything. It's really unfair. Now, from a studio perspective, Odin, what do you think is the role of a studio in preparing actors for, you know, toxic fans and stuff like that. Like, does the studio have a role to play here in protecting actors in their projects from fandoms?
It really depends, I guess, on what kind of movie system that we want to see. Because obviously we think about classic Hollywood, and it was at the time where actors would have contracts with studios, right? It was the whole studio system. And so they had a lot more control over the public image of the person. And nowadays we typically see it's the actors themselves who have control, or it's their PR firms that they hire, or it's their agents, whatever it might be. So when it comes to the individual actions of the person, I think ultimately that's up to the person to, control themselves and to figure out things for themselves, maybe by extension, their agents, their personal representation. When it comes to the studio's involvement is really going to depend, as I mentioned, as far as what we think the studio should be. As an actual business, a studio's main goal is going to be, all right, we want you to be in this movie, but we also want you to be available to sell this movie. And we also want you to be able to build upon the audience for this film. And so just as a responsibility that the studio has, not to their actors, but to their shareholders who have money in them, who have invested money in the projects themselves, it is incumbent upon them to make sure that the actors do not do or say things that are going to destroy the image of the studio or destroy the image of that individual movie. Once the movie's over, once the run is over, the studio really could probably care less unless they were planning on doing future projects with that individual person. So I think ultimately it comes down to basically what we think a studio should be like. And as a business, it just honestly it's just a bit crazy, especially for a show now that has been, in this case, canceled. For her to even be, basically, unless she was planning on having other future projects with Disney, then honestly, she should say whatever the heck she wants. But also, she should be ready for any consequences if it comes to not getting hired again.
Brian.
Si, senor.
Yes.
Señor Carish.
Thank you. So, Brian, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to this stuff, like, do these actors know the difference between legit criticism and actual racism? Where it's like, if they did a crappy job or if they're in a crappy show and stuff like that, why can't they separate the fact that, the art is separate from the artist? Why blame the fans?
Because they were raised, man. They were raised, with and I'm sorry, I don't want to be the old boomer guy screaming at the clouds right now, but they were raised with participation trophies and in school systems where, criticism is offensive, and everyone has their own style, and everyone is successful, and everyone's et cetera, et cetera. So I think that it's not just like the typical liberal forecast that we're dealing with right now, but everyone is blowing smoke up their ass nonstop. Everyone around them, they're living in this echo chamber where everyone tells them how great they are, and they were raised that way. They were raised to believe that whatever they're doing is their prerogative. It's how they feel, and they can do no wrong because it's their interpretation or whatever. And so criticism of them is hyper offensive, and they don't understand the concept of being criticized. And the easiest thing to do is to just conflate that with racism, and boom, now you have a way to complain about the complainers.
Mr. Butters, I'm curious as to why Star Wars is always the franchise that has the racism claims to it, whereas opposed, we don't hear this from like Marvel or Mean Girls or, any other like franchise out there. It's always like the Star Wars movies that are the most affected by racism. Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I think maybe because it's just more blatantly obvious that they're checking boxes with this new batch of Star Wars products that they're coming out with. It's pretty obvious what they're doing out there, so it's an easy thing to point out, and it's an easy thing to complain about, and it's also an easy thing for them to point the finger back at people.
Well, it's also a cultural thing though, right?
So
they hire a lot of people who are already on that side of the of the aisle. They're usually African American, or they're connected in some way. They're half African American, or they're connected to that community. And
they just make it too obvious with what they're doing. It's like all of a sudden there's an Asian guy, a gay black chick, a gay white dude, some white female in charge of everything on the screen, and it's just
Yeah, it's
I mean,
obvious.
that's your typical Star Wars cast.
And the
now. It's like-
culture is, it's not my problem, it's your problem because you're racist.
and those of us who grew up watching these movies are like, well, that's stupid, and we're not going to spend our money on it. It's a pretty simple formula.
Yeah.
So
It is kind of shocking how different the movies that we grew up watching
Mhm.
are from the movies that and TV shows that they're putting out now.
Yeah.
Where everything that Star Wars puts out seems to have some type of message or political propaganda behind it, as opposed to just telling a good story. And for the life of me, like out of all the franchises in Hollywood, right?
Mm.
Star Wars is the one that affected the most filmmakers. And you just know that they've had a flood of very talented filmmakers going to Lucasfilm saying, like, I want to work on Star Wars.
Mhm.
And then the minute they get into negotiations with Kathleen Kennedy, they're like, this bitch is crazy. I hate her. I don't want to work with her.
Nope.
And now it's almost like if you are a talented filmmaker in Hollywood, you almost don't want to work
Right.
with Lucasfilm because you just know it's such a shit show over there. And so like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to find unknown talent.
We know people who've directly had talks with her and
Mhm.
say that shit. She's batshit crazy. And why would you want to deal with that? So
There was even that one director who said flat out, he's like, why would you want to work with Lucasfilm so you could have a project in development for years just to get canceled?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on. But no, you guys all, I want to address something earlier. You guys said that, she's not going to be able to work with them again if she keeps bitching. That's not true. She's the right color. You guys forgot John Boyega was called a racist so hard that they made the most powerful woman in Hollywood go through a struggle session. You guys remember that? When John Boyega called Disney out for being racist and they apologized, and Kathleen Kennedy went through a struggle session over that.
is this when they took him off the poster and all that stuff?
Yeah, because of all that shit.
Yeah.
Not only that, because J.J. Abrams told him he was basically going to be a Jedi and all this other stuff that he promised him that didn't happen. And his part just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, just like he did on the poster.
Did you want to?
Yeah. So the problem is that when you're messing with something that's so beloved, like Star Wars or other ones, with such a radical, different creative idea, you got to make sure it's a great idea, because you're messing with the people's childhoods and their love. It can happen. You can do it. Battlestar Galactica was redone like that. There's a show right now where it's all female led. Writers, showrunners, directors. There's a strong female storyline that pretty much has a strong feminist agenda, but they're doing the storytelling so incredible that it's part of this story.
It's like I remember when Battlestar Galactica came out, and I thought it was great.
I'm talking about the Penguin right now.
Except for the Starbuck thing,
Right.
And it's like, oh, they're making some chick Starbuck,
Right.
And I'm like,
Katie
but it took me about 3 minutes of the first episode to go, oh, okay, this is good. I like this. So yeah.
Well, it was the same thing with Heath Ledger's Joker, right?
Right.
When Heath Ledger was cast and stuff like that, everyone's like, oh, he's going to be terrible. He's going to be awful. And then like the minute you saw him walk on screen in that movie, you were like, this guy is amazing.
I was always like, Edward James Olmos as a Dama? What? The fuck out of here. It's like, oh, but again, 30 seconds in, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's going to be great.
But unfortunately, the majority of these changes, right, the work is crap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And that's the thing I was saying is that if the show is good, if the movie's good, people don't care who was cast.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Or what color they are, or all that.
Or in my case, it'll take you 5 minutes to like get on board. Even if you were like even if you initially were like, I don't know, but
that's
then
normal. That's normal.
But it was good. Yeah.
So that's why I like with the Harry Potter series coming out soon that JK has her hands in it,
Mhm.
like final say for it. And I think we need to go back to that where people who've created these things have the final say on it.
Oh, JK.
I know.
Yeah, I'm now a J.K. Rowling fan, by the way.
Well, because we agree with her on one thing.
No, it's not about agreeing with her. It's about her standing her ground. I think she has balls, man.
Yeah,
and even though I disagree with 90%,
she's fighting against women with balls,
right? Yeah, ironically, I disagree with 90% of what she probably believes, but the fact that she has that intestinal fortitude to actually stand up against this mob is like so inspiring.
Well, speaking of intestinal fortitude, we got another super chat from Scotty Dub for $9.99.
Hey-o.
OMG, Kadish, you said you learned French. No, I said I took French. I didn't say I learned it.
Big difference.
Big difference.
You took French fries.
And
Oh, that's you, Tom.
And now, a little something for the lady, Nadia, and my dear friend, Monsieur
Mr.
Kadesh.
D.
Still love you all. Still love all that you do. My dear salty nerds, hashtag LFGDJT. Let's fucking go.
JT.
JT. That was French.
You know, I was telling Tom the other day I was watching the director's cut of Napoleon on Apple. Why I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed because there was none of those, Napoleon, you have to go now. They were all English.
Yeah.
It was
Because you got
whack, dude.
Joaquin Phoenix in it. Of course, all he's going to sit there and do is go, maybe I should have.
Yeah, his next movie was called Folie à Deux.
And there he is in that one going, maybe I'm the Joker, maybe I'm not.
That film.
I didn't even.
I'm sorry. I know
I've-
everybody loves Joaquin for some reason. I always thought he was just the most dry fucking.
Yeah,
Agree.
I'm with you, Tom.
Wrong kid died. Sorry.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's
he went there.
a line
facts.
from Dewey Cox, but it's a fact.
I would like to
facts.
disavow Tom Connors Jr.
Yeah,
Speaking of
I actually
disavowing,
do like him.
Guys, speaking of disavowing, Nadia has to get going.
What?
Because she's too embarrassed to be here for the full 2 hours with this crew. But
I'm gonna step out and
yeah,
get a selfie.
yes,
with-
but guys, be sure to check Nadia out on the Real McCoy podcast, which is going to be on right after the show's over. We're going to be redirecting you all over there. Nadia, is there anything you want to say before you get out of here?
No.
No. You
Nadia,
gotta stay-
without you here, it's just a
subscribe
lemon
to my
party.
channel. Subscribe to my channel.
Subscribe to my channel, Horror with Nads. I do a horror news segment every Tuesday live, and I do horror movie breakdowns. So I am on 3 more streams today. So just follow me on Twitter. I'll post where I'm at.
Boom.
And the link to Nadia's channel is in the description of the live stream. So feel free to head on over there. Nadia, thank you for being here.
Thanks for including me today, guys.
Later, Nadia.
Had a
See ya.
blast. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
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 You guys gonna make me say that? I'm not gonna do that.
Bye.
Not gonna do that. Bye.
Yeah. You suck it in so she can get out. There we go. All right.
He
Well,
sucks it in and creates a black hole.
Okay.
This is a weird stream today, Matthew.
Yes, it's
It is.
It is a
extremely
very
weird.
weird stream today.
It's a very weird stream.
We're
Yeah,
out
I feel
of our
oddly
element, Connie.
uncomfortable.
We're out of our element.
Weird.
I was just looking for some earbuds in there earlier because my iPad was making noise. I couldn't get it to turn off. So I just
We had earbuds over here.
well, I didn't know this.
If you had just asked, put it in the private chat. That's what the private chat's for.
I don't have access to the private chat today. So I was telling you.
Oh, Matt.
Mm.
It is so sad.
It's so sad.
It is so sad. You
You're
must
gonna
get
get
the
your cigarette.
baguettes.
Yes.
We're all being French today, huh? All right.
You guys
Oui.
do not know how to speak French. I learned from a skunk.
Oh, oui. Pepe le
We just
No.
went down from
That skunk was a
240
rapist.
viewers.
I thought there had been no
Whoa.
direction.
Whoa.
Speaking of
I
starting with no
resent
directions,
that. I'm a
guys,
romantic.
time to get to our top story of the day.
Yeah, get the girl out of here and
Yes,
start
now-
talking about real
Yeah,
stuff.
now we can
Yeah.
get gay.
Get them girls out of here.
Girl.
girl, mon cher. All right, so guys, Gina Carano posted an update on the artist formerly known as Twitter about her lawsuit with Disney, and it's actually very, very, I guess, positive, I guess you'd say. So for those of you out there who might have been following this, so Gina Carano made a tweet a while back that got her fired from Lucasfilm because they were equating her with neo-Nazi.
I hope to God everybody knows this story already because I don't want to listen to you go through it.
But so she was wrongfully terminated. There were a bunch of plans for Star Wars for her character, Cara Dune, that got thrown out the window because somebody in Lucasfilm had a problem with Gina Carano. And then Elon Musk bought Twitter and decided that he was going to help her fund a lawsuit for wrongful termination. And so Gina has been taking Disney to court, and Disney right off the bat tried to get the case dismissed outright.
Yep.
And despite all their power and influence and money, the judges in California, no less, basically said like, no, you can't throw this out. So Disney immediately started appealing, and it got to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is like the California Supreme Court, basically. And basically Disney was like, hey, we did nothing wrong here. This lawsuit's frivolous. it deserves to be thrown out. And even the Ninth Circuit, the most overturned court in all of
That's
America,
true. That's true.
said, no, you don't have standing. This lawsuit is going forward. And so now, short of a appeal to the actual Supreme Court of the United States, Disney is going to be forced to start going into what's called discovery. And that's where basically Gina Carano and Elon Musk's team get access to all of Disney's records, and they're able to subpoena information.
It's
And this is
juicy
the
from
important
here.
part. Also,
Okay.
streaming records, dude. We're going to be able to see how well the show did, how many subscribers they brought in, how many viewers. These are numbers we've never gotten to see before.
But we're
Well,
also
another
going to
thing
see
about this that was
internal
funny.
email, right, between
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy and
That's the good stuff, right?
yeah,
there.
That'd be a good one.
and try to see like the timeline of events that led up to them being fired. Tom, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that the funny thing is even in this decision, they called Disney's argument a straw man argument.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they really don't have a leg to stand on
No,
legally with this. Type
That's
of
not
thing.
looking good for Disney at all. No.
Yeah. But I want to throw this to the one person on the panel who has the most Disney stock of anyone,
Oh my
which
God.
is Brian from the Popcast. Brian, since you are a shareholder, a
Wow.
major shareholder in Disney, you own more Disney stock than George Lucas does. Um,
I wish it.
Nobody owns more stock than George Lucas
how do you
does.
think this lawsuit is going to affect the stock price?
It's probably not going to go great. That's I guarantee it. When Matt is right, 85% of my portfolio is Disney. When the pandemic happened, I'm like, dude, Disney is at an all-time low, and I just literally had like the auto transfer on, where it was just like, take this money out of my account and buy Disney stock every week. And now I am just so upside down.
I should have sold out when Chapek was there and it was at 200.
100% I should have done that. You're completely right, Tom. Thank you for telling me now.
How? He didn't ask, and I'm not a financial
So
advisor.
I have a ton of stock, and I'm just watching it constantly drop. I don't think this news is good for stockholders. And, the other day I actually considered, like, should I just dump now? Because I'm not sure it's going to get, it's eventually going to get better because inflation is going to cause it to go up eventually. Maybe in the next 30 years I'm solvent, but I don't know how much better. I don't think it's ever going to get good. And I'm telling you, I am so upside down. This is like, I'm in this weird position where if I sell now, it's not just like, oh, I'm admitting defeat and I'm losing some money. No, I'm like losing like everything. So I can't sell now, and I'm just watching it every day in this weird sort of ethereal state of depression. So thank you for bringing that up, Matt. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that sucks, dude.
Oh, my job here is done. Odin, I wanted to ask you about this because I don't think it's ever happened that Kathleen Kennedy has had anyone fight back against her terrible decisions. And this is a very high profile and potentially dangerous lawsuit for her in particular, because if in discovery it comes out that she unfairly targeted and unfairly terminated Gina Carano for her political beliefs, when every other Star Wars actor is free to express their left-leaning political beliefs.
Mm.
And Gina Carano wasn't even right wing. I'd say that she was just common sense when she was
Right.
posting these like memes and stuff like that. But do you think that this has the potential to actually force Kathleen Kennedy out?
Man, I hope so. I've always said
Mm.
that I thought that the only way that Kathleen Kennedy would ever leave is either like two ways, either of her own volition, or if the actual members of the board / stockholders actually started to hold the company to account and to make change happen. This could potentially be kind of a curveball to that, right? Where maybe you could see something happen. Honestly, though, the only thing I want to see happen in regards to Kathleen Kennedy in this case is I would love for her to be put on the stand. And I would love for her to be grilled. And I would love her to have to admit that she either did indeed discriminate against Gina Carano because of her political beliefs, or openly lie about the fact that she discriminated. And if in discovery things are discovered where they're able to say, oh, well, you say that you did not do this, and yet we have this email right here where very clearly you're mentioning it, would be amazing. So even if they don't have that, to see her on the stand, I think would be the best. I would love to see them put this thing as like a broadcasted case where you could actually see the video feeds. I don't know who will have that power or not, because man, oh man, I know every person in our community would be watching that thing every single moment that it was on, just for those moments like that.
Yeah.
I want to see her on the stand, and I want to see her humiliated.
Oh,
The watch along court TV YouTube
Mhm.
streams are going to be
Yeah.
crazy.
dude, Gary and Jeremy would make so much money if that
Yes.
Screw them, I'm doing it, man. What are
Are
you
you
talking
kidding me?
about?
Like the legal Eagles would really too, but
Yeah.
like, yeah.
But also think about for Jeremy, like once the election's over, he's not gonna have as much to stream. It's like boom, it gives him another thing to stream 24/7. So
I honestly, if anybody does that, I'm watching Jay's channel. That's where
Yes.
I'm going to go for that.
yes,
Yeah, because of the Gina Carano.
Yeah.
connection.
Yep.
because they're friends.
Yeah, they are friends.
Mhm.
Paulie, what do you think about the fact that this lawsuit has failed to be quashed by the long arm of Disney? Do you think that what are the repercussions you think could be from something like this?
I think slightly that people will get fired. You know, and I actually would be shocked if it goes to court and actually see a KK on the stand. I think there'll be some. I think there's going to be like some last minute decisions made, and some people are going to get paid off.
Right.
But there's going to be like some public, on paper,
Mhm.
like decision that people can be able to read, because,
Do you think she's going to settle?
it'll be a settled. It would be a settlement to where she doesn't care about the money. It's more of
Her reputation.
of the reputation being was it not reinstalled or
Reinstated.
reinstated when it comes to what those particular people at
Mhm.
Disney said in those press releases. They called her an anti-Semite. I mean, this is heavy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
This is and good for Elon, good for Gina. It also is going to go a long ways to, with future stuff, to where studios need to watch what they say as well in
Mhm.
regards to now I'm going to talk about Melissa Barrera and how they called her the very same thing. I mean, that was and they fired her from the job.
Hmm.
That was even it was even worse. So, this is great. Gina's a pioneer, man, and God bless her.
And God bless Elon. Damn.
Yeah. What was it? So yeah, I think the discovery and everything on paper is gonna be damaging enough. It's gonna be fantastic.
I kind of disagree about the settlement idea here, because Gina Carano has been very vocal. Like, she went on Patrick Bet-David's podcast and a couple other podcasts where she basically laid out exactly what she went through and how basically after Lucasfilm blackballed her, all of her offers dried up.
Yep.
Right. Like this was supposed to be her big breakout, that she was supposed to be getting all types of work, stuff like that. And then after this happened, basically Hollywood put her on a blacklist, and her career has just screeched to a stop, essentially. And so when it comes to the settlement type thing, I feel like she's not in this to make money or get some type of like sweetheart deal or whatever. I feel like her and Elon want to make an example of Disney to stop this type of behavior
I think
from
you're right.
happening again. And so, like, I do think that even if Disney offered to settle out of court, I think that her and Elon would basically be like, no, we're taking this to court. We're going to be public about this. We're going to expose you, and we're going to make an example of you so that other studios don't do this type of shit to their talent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely don't think it's about the money.
Well, and she said she wouldn't settle for any less than what she's asking for, so they literally have to give her everything that she's asking for, up to including reinstating her in Star Wars.
Well, okay, so let's get back to that, because she's a particular type of actor. She was a B-level at best, action star. She's pretty stiff in regards to her acting, but people liked her, and she did her films. This put her on another level, and she was getting better and better with her role.
Yep.
And that's the heartbreaker. It's not like her character, her storyline was done. It was just beginning.
Right.
And
It was just starting.
That's the real heartbreaker creatively, because if Favreau, had really big plans for her in the role. And I think,
Paulie, did you see her in Deadpool?
She was all right.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what I was
I mean,
gonna
she
say,
wasn't
is,
great, but
she's-
like it was a big difference between Deadpool and her Mandalorian stuff. Like it was much better in Mandalorian.
But on that note, I was just going to defend her a little bit as far as like her status, because she was on the way up, right? She had started in things like the Fast and the Furious. She was in Deadpool, and now she was in Star Wars. That's 3 major franchises
Yeah,
this
that's
woman's
true.
been in, compared to Rachel Zegler, who we were just talking about, who's been in basically like 2.5 failures at this point, right? But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So like, I do see the argument as to where her trajectory was going in this direction of, yes, at some point she could be heading up her own films, but that's a maybe.
Yeah, we can go back and forth because a lot of those films, are they cast athletes, or in this case like the Ronda Rouseys and stuff. And if their acting career grows, that's great. Those are those movies, like you said, that those examples, those roles are so interchangeable. The names are so interchangeable. You got Vin Diesel, and but the thing is again, is the Gina project was so it was on a different level, man.
Mm-hmm.
And this totally killed it. I mean, she was depressed for years.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about it. That's awful.
They were making her own series, man.
That was all, but I'm just talking about emotionally and mentally what she has gone through. So yeah, those are my feelings here.
I'd like to welcome Jay to the chat. He's in the chat chatting away in there.
Oh, no way.
Letting us know that Gina's here in Vegas, going to do a rally or something, talking with Tulsi. I'd go see that. That'd be fun.
Gina and Tulsi.
Gina and
That's
Tulsi.
a TV show right there.
That's a ticket right there, man.
Mhm.
I'd vote for that.
What's going on, Jay? Love you, brother.
Yes, we are all fans of Drunk 3PO
Yes,
on
yes.
the show.
Mhm.
Mr. Butters,
Yeah.
what's your take on this lawsuit? Do you think that it's going to keep going forward, and do you think
God,
it's
I
going
hope
to
so.
hurt Disney?
I really hope so. I hope that spills all the tea. I really do. I want to see them, Gina and Elon's lawyers, go in there and just wreak havoc, because something has to happen. They have to expose this stuff. And I'm so happy that, I'm not happy for what happened to her.
No.
But I'm happy that they're in a position now to where they can start exposing all this nonsense that's been going on.
So talking about exposing, right?
Mm.
I want to know I want the names out on who wrote that press release, who released it, who is behind it,
right?
Because there's names behind that,
mm-hmm.
and that's garbage.
I can guarantee you that their initials are P and H.
I was just gonna say they probably rhyme with Pablo Hidalgo.
Good old Pablo.
Yeah.
Really?
And there's even rumors that Leslie had a little play in this business and all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, she said some stuff publicly, but like, look, yeah,
What?
you guys are not wrong. I think that there's all kinds of stuff that's going to come out from behind the scenes, and we're going to see just how these people act and talk. It's going to look like a big gay ops. Friggin', it is. I guarantee you.
I know.
And the only thing Kathy might have in her defense is if she really is more of the satellite mom, from what I had heard before, that she might have been just so disconnected from all this shit. She's just probably like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. So that's might be
possible.
how she gets out of this, is that she just goes, look, I was just going with what my subordinates said.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that if it does come down to the fingers starting to point towards Kathleen Kennedy, she's going to throw Pablo under the bus immediately.
sure.
He's gonna be the
Absolutely.
scapegoat.
The Jay's has a great comment there.
Mhm.
Should get
agreed.
Jay on here.
I know.
We should
But
get Jay
also-
on here.
But also with his comment there, I think it's also another point to say as to why settlement is not likely, because it's one, we know it's not about the money for her, but also even if it was, like, she's already getting so much just as a natural consequence of being the one going after Disney. And so even then it would be like, yeah, she has no real need for it either because of that point. And so I think that no matter which way you slice it, no matter which side of it you're on, you would have to admit that the chances of her going forward with this trial and going all the way with it are very high.
Yeah, and as Jay says here, the lawsuit definitely has made her more popular. She sells out at the Comic Cons. Kind of crazy because she's not in a major movie, but
It's crossed over into the mainstream, because even my dad said something about it. If my dad's saying something about it, then that means it's been on the basic news stations and stuff.
And just following up on that, again, Melissa Barrera has been this year going to cons. Hers always sells out. She hasn't been in a major film. The ones that were done the ones that are coming out this year, as far as the production schedule, they were filmed years ago or last year. So Jay's absolutely right. It's the connection that Gina has made with her fans. They love her.
Well,
She's pure. She's genuine. Yeah,
you know,
Melissa?
what's
Yeah.
interesting though is that,
And I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so like in writing, one of the big tricks to make a character instantly likable is to make them the recipient of undeserved misfortune. And not only was Gina the recipient of an undeserved misfortune, but she's basically been the underdog and she's been the victim of these like powerful people in Hollywood. And I think that that type of persecution endears people to someone. And the fact that, you know, that story got a lot of attention, people who didn't even know Gina or maybe weren't even aware of like her as an actress. Like I've known about her since, you know, American Gladiators back when I was a kid, you know, but this idea that, you know, there was this character in Star Wars, this actress, this minor role that was unfairly persecuted, that tends to translate to, you know, kind of like a groundswell of support. Even if you're not a fan of hers, you become a fan because you want to support the underdog. You know what I mean?
And you know, listen, to Hollywood, they changed their chones with the wind. So you know, I also see actors starting to come back into, you know, to stand up behind her. How brave you guys are now, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. After the fact. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, no actors ever get, you know, fired for comparing Donald Trump supporters to Yahtzees, right?
No.
Like no one on the other end of the political spectrum ever faces any type of like Mark Ruffalo can go out there and say some of the most vile, terrible stuff
Yeah.
on his Twitter,
fine.
and
Yeah, he's good.
Marvel never fires him.
Well,
you know?
let's go back to the Gina thing. In the paperwork in this case, is Pedro Pascal
Pedro,
is in this case as far as what he was able to do and stay employed. And she's absolutely right. You know, I don't agree with what Pedro put up there. That's not cool. No one said anything. You know, that was pretty vicious.
Yep.
You know, and that was way less nuanced than anything that
what kind
Not
of
to mention
timeline
Mark
are we looking at?
Hamill and sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask, what kind of timeline are we looking at with this court case thing? I mean, is this going to be another 5 years? down the road?
September next year.
next year.
Cool.
Yeah,
Just
like,
under a year away.
These things tend to drag a little bit.
Yeah.
But so Tom, Odin, Brian,
Yes.
overall, we did a story last week about how you know, studios are doing like focus groups and they're getting like fan focus groups to try to get ahead of like stuff like this. And they're also putting their actors through a boot camp to prepare them for like how to use social media, how to avoid pissing off the fan base and stuff like that. Do you think that going forward, this lawsuit could inform how studios train their top stars to avoid this type of like situation?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Like a media training.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen something like that.
Honestly, I think they need it because I think,
Yeah.
look, there's not too many people. Like I know some people like to jump on the whole idea. Well, they should be able to say whatever they want because I get that all the time on X, right? It's like, yeah, that's fine. They have that right, but they also have the chance that they're going to lose over half their audience, right?
Yeah, and people need to be criticized and judged. You know, the criticism is very important to inform someone when they are saying stupid shit. And so that's our job. You know, it's society's job to criticize bad ideas. I'm not saying silence those ideas. Let them come out. Sunlight's the best disinfectant for bad ideas.
But no, but I don't think it would hurt any of these people to be put through a program or a class to say, like, look, is this going to help your image if you go out and say F Trump, right?
But
you might feel that way. You might get a bunch of people that will rally behind you, but then at the same time, you're going to piss off half of your audience. Is that really
it's a
something
business.
you want to
It's
do?
a business, right?
Right? Like, yeah, that's the way you got to look at it.
So Odin, one of the interesting things about this now, as opposed to when all this originally went down with Gina, is the fact that when Gina got canceled, essentially, all the major media platforms, and we know this because of the Twitter files like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Meta, like all this stuff, and the old Twitter, were all being controlled by former FBI officials and people who were actively trying to censor social media in order to push their agenda. That has since changed. We now have a different owner for Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter, in the sense that Elon has broken that stranglehold that the deep state used to have on all the social media platforms. And now actual information can get out there without being censored. And so we're now in a post-Elon era of social media. And it looks like Mark Zuckerberg's trying to follow suit with that because, you know, Meta is getting left behind in terms of like usage and you know, like engagement and stuff like that, because people are more free to do stuff on Twitter. So, Odin, I just want to get your take before we move on from this. What do you think that Elon Musk factor has a role to play in this going forward?
Oh, I mean, this would not exist if Elon wasn't there. I mean, remember, this all stemmed from Elon saying, "Hey, if anyone has been wrongfully terminated because of their political opinions, let me know, and we'll cover the court cost." And she put her name out there, and hey, the connection was made, and this is the reason why we're seeing this happen, why we're seeing this go forward. So if he had not purchased Twitter, right, I don't think that this case would be going forward at all, because I don't think that connection would have been made. And since it has been now made, because of all the changes that have been made to Twitter, obviously most of them on average, I would say, are good, with maybe a few of them, especially this new block thing, being like I don't know about that. But I do think ultimately that it's been this huge net positive, and it's allowed for these conversations to continue. And I think the reason why public sentiment is especially more so on her side and much less against Disney, or much more against Disney's side of it, is because of free conversation being allowed to happen on the platform.
Well, guys, speaking of free conversation, we have some super chats to get to.
Yeah.
The first is from Marks47, a member for 14 months, who gives a members chat that says, "Bad news, no cameras allowed in the courts there."
Bomber.
Yeah. And then we got Kalikioki for $5. Does Gina actually want back into Star Wars after the way they humiliated her? I would move on if I was her. It's not like Iger or Kathleen Kennedy will leave afterwards. Yeah, there's something to be said about you know, getting a job back at a company that actively hates you.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of that is part of the case. Like, I remember how it was worded. Like, nobody really probably expects her to get the job back necessarily, including her, but it's just something you have to say in the case, because that's kind of the whole point, is you're
Right.
suing because you were fired, right?
Right.
So
For
like,
having
yeah.
an opinion. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, how much did she really work with Kathleen Kennedy, right? Like, that's the thing we got to also remember, is Kathleen Kennedy, like, as far as we know, she showed up to the sets maybe once or twice on some of these shows. So that's where I was saying before, is that's the one thing she has, is that she could probably say, well, I wasn't around for most of the stuff. Sure, I got the emails and whatnot, but I was just going by what other people said. How do we know that Gina may have only come into contact with Kathleen Kennedy maybe 4 or 5 times in this entire...
Well, wasn't it Kathleen Kennedy who mandated that she go through that sensitivity training?
Well, that was her, but like I said before,
Yeah.
well, that was what it came down to her, and that was what she was giving her the options at that point. And then that's how they're going to argue it, is that they're going to say, look, she could have stayed on. All she had to do is go through this struggle session like I did over John Boyega. But that's if she even gets to the stand. Like, we don't even know if it's going to get to that far. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, even remember, like, the Johnny Depp case, how many of those were just, like, recorded depositions and shit? And it's just like, yeah, we'll see. And I'm not even so sure anybody on the higher level is going to lose their job. Maybe on a lower level, but I don't know. I wouldn't count.
Some
I
low
don't think
level
Kathleen Kennedy is just going to lose her job over this.
Poor
some
craft
low level
service guy.
Twitter person in their social media
Oh,
department.
Pablo Hidalgo, he's easily... They'll sacrifice his ass. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, Pablo, he's all over social media. He keeps an eye on that, and I know for a fact that, like, he was like watching Gina's tweets, and it was just
right.
causing him
So as long as there's somebody like that to take the blame, she'll shirk that as easy as pie. So yeah.
All right, guys, and we got one more super chat from Salty Saturday superstar Mark of Reality for $50.
Whoa.
Disney is
$50.
responsible for the destruction of 2 major nerd IPs. The true fans hate this, and they see Gina as their fellow oppressed. Elon has vowed to destroy the whole woke mind virus due to what happened to him and his son. Therefore, Elon is a powerful ally. There's no denying that.
Nope.
No denying that.
Well, I think that's what
at all.
scared the left most of all was when they realized, oh shit, this dude has a personal stake in this.
Mhm.
Right.
He's not just doing it for fun. He's not just trolling. He's not just blowing some extra money.
It's
This
personal.
dude has a personal investment in this. Yeah.
Well, guys, speaking of trolling, I want to talk about Zack Snyder being obsessed with Batman's sex life.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my.
didn't hear about this morning.
So
What's going on?
Zack Snyder put out a tweet that said, "Does Batman have sex? My version of Batman definitely did, but that isn't always the case. Learn all about Batman's sex life in this article from Inverse.com's superhero issue, guest edited by me." And of course, I just want to point out Jeremy's response: Geeks and Gamers is not affiliated. But I don't know if
I
you
would
guys
be
got a
either. Have you heard
chance
him
to-
talk
Wow.
about little boys in Roman times? Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to read through this Inverse article, but it's basically about
some of it.
Batman's gay, and they're unapologetic about that. And also Batman fucks.
Oh my god.
And it's cool that he has nipples on his costume. And
Is that Robin in bed with him? What the F?
yes, that is Robin.
Yeah, it's from one of the old comics.
Yeah, this is one of the examples of Batman being gay. But one of the interesting things about this is this article kind of talks about how Batgirl and Batman, like, you know, there's like this whole shipping thing. And in the Killing Joke animated version, Batman and Batgirl actually hook up, and that caused this huge outcry amongst Batman fans because they're like, she's 16 and his apprentice, and he's banging her. And so like this article was just like one interview after another of people who want to pervert Batman into like weird sexual stuff. And obviously, you know, Batman has sex, you know, like Damian Wayne is his son, you know, Talia al Ghul, you know, he hooked up with her, Vicky Vale, like all this stuff. So like no one's disputing the fact that Batman has sex. But Zack Snyder seems particularly obsessed with it because he actually had actual comic book accurate artwork commissioned of Batman eating out Catwoman.
Oh God, that's crazy.
Do you not remember that? It was all over Twitter.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe I.
So Zack Snyder.
I remember it.
And Zack Snyder famously talked about how he wanted to do a scene where Batman was raped in prison, which oddly enough, Joker 2 kind of did on his behalf.
Good Lord.
So there's some weird crossover there. But yeah, like Zack Snyder has like some weird fetish stuff going on with the Cape Crusader, and so did Joel Schumacher and all this other stuff. So I want to throw this to the panel, but we'll start with you, Paulie.
Why?
Does sex
No.
have anything any place in comic books?
In comic books or the movies?
Both.
Sex or like
Particularly Batman stuff.
yeah, but like sex or like relationships.
No, sex.
Oh God.
The act of penis inserting
What?
vagina.
Stop it. Stop
Wow.
it.
Yeah,
Stop it.
sex
Stop it.
belong. You can have sex in media, sure.
I'm gonna say PG, sure. Like it's nothing that we see. It's like as far as like comic books and comic book movies, because these are for kids as well, man.
Mhm.
Right? So it's like if you're gonna have relationships, do not make it R. Make it PG and like, you know, oh, I love you. All right, let's go to the bedroom and cut. Nothing else. And then if you get all dark and weirdo, like Joker did, in that sex scene, then you know you're gonna lose a lot of money. You lost a lot of money.
It's like, I don't need this stuff in my comic books.
No.
and if
I mean that's the easy answer.
and if
No.
there's something I want to see in this kind of a comic book, I'll go buy a heavy metal magazine or or something like that.
It is a weird question. Why'd you ask me that question?
Because that's my job.
Yeah, he always
all
likes he likes to inflict
He
pain
does that
and
shit.
weird
Yeah.
questions on you.
Yeah, which brings me to
Yeah.
Odin. Odin,
Odin's weird.
I wanted to ask you. So like one of the weird things about this article to me is that it really was, and Paulie kind of touched on this. It really was about targeting children. It was about using Batman, who's a very popular character amongst kids and teens and comic book collectors and stuff like that. It was about using him as a vehicle to introduce like homosexuality and fetishism and stuff like that to kids in particular. And you know, we've seen this kind of like quest or crusade for activists out there where it's like, you know, sexualizing books in children's libraries and, you know, like all this other stuff. And it really does seem to be propaganda stuff targeted towards kids. And that's all this article was. And the fact that Zack Snyder was the editor of this article and he was the one kind of pushing forward this message, I find a little bit disturbing. But since you are the steward of America's youth, you know, you are a teacher, I want to get your take on this. What's your take on sexuality in Batman and Batman comics?
It's grooming, plain and simple. I mean, you kind of laid it all out there. When you have a content that is strictly being directed towards kids, and you are therefore adding in sexual content into that content, and then having it be a point that you want this to be in that new content, you are basically saying, okay, so you want to expose kids younger and younger to this stuff so that they become desensitized to it, which means you are ergo what? Grooming them. So that's all that really it ends up being, in my opinion. And this just, the fact that Zack Snyder's involved just brings me back to the thing I've been saying for a long time. Screw Zack Snyder. We should really honestly just stop supporting him. I would not be sad whatsoever if he just stopped making movies, or at least stop making them publicly. If he just wants to go off in a little corner and make his little Rebel Moons all he wants, that's fine. Just don't release it. Companies don't buy his crap anymore. His content is worthless, and I'm sorry. Like that dude has been, even the good things he has done, I think were overrated, and I think he's done so much more worse garbage tier, on the surface garbage tier stuff, that at this point it's like, go away, seriously.
Yeah. So Tom, you linked us this article where it talks about how studio executives basically said that heroes don't go down on women.
I just
and
wanted
that
to
was, like,
correct
their
it as much as I
justification.
hate Zach and as depraved as he is. Because, plus, trust me, go listen to his Joe Rogan interview from about 7 months ago. He goes on this tangent about how Romans fuck each other, and that's why they defend
He
their
was
brothers.
weird.
And he's talking about how, you know, they're young apprentices, and he's just getting all giddy about it and shit. And it's like, your latent homosexuality and probable diddling problems are really starting to surface here, dude. And then this is the same interview where we get the whole thing where he's like, well, my Batman has sex, right? And, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, we get it. You want to make everybody gay because you're a latent homosexual. Get off it. And this is not always about sex. Yes, you can have sex in comic books. Yes, there are plenty of comic books that have sex in it. But I agree, in the mainstream Batman comic, DC said no to this, for the very fact that it is technically something that they consider family entertainment, to where it has to be okay for kids. Now, if you're doing a Killing Joke graphic novel or Dark Knight Returns, something like that, totally different scenario, totally different conversation. But at the same time, it's like, why are we obsessed with this shit? Or why is he obsessed with this shit? We talked about it the other day, how it was a joke in Mallrats. Well, the reason it's a joke in Mallrats is because nobody is obsessed with it other than Jason Lee's character. That's the whole joke. Nobody else gives a crap.
Right, that's
Right?
the joke.
Because all we want to see about comic book superheroes do is be superheroes.
But to
Once
answer
in a while,
Matt's
flirt
question,
with Catwoman, that's about it.
but
Yeah.
you guys still answer Matt's question. Do heroes go down?
Well, absolutely they do.
Of course they
Unsung
do.
heroes, yes, indeed.
Yes.
In the
Hero-
privacy of their own
heroes-
bedroom, where the artist is not drawing them. Yes.
Sure, that's completely fine, but nothing wrong
But
with,
the weird,
with going down on a woman.
the weird part about the thing that Zack Snyder got commissioned is like they're having sex in their superhero outfits, right? It's not like they're like in a hotel room with like clothes off and stuff like that. They're on a dirty rooftop.
Kinky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're on a dirty rooftop in full, like, you know, Batman and Catwoman gear.
So that's like that's like Zach's fantasy then, right?
Maybe they're like they have a latex fetish or something.
Or it's like, you
Well,
know,
look.
like it's a okay, no, I'm not gonna.
Well, even like back in the day, like, yes, they would flirt in like Batman, the TV show, and certain things like that, but that's about as far as it would go. right? So like that's it. But even Adam West said that costume got him laid more times than ever, right?
sure.
So let's be
That's what
real.
I was. That's what I was referring to. Is that people in general are, have their kinks. their
but
kink-
here's the thing: it got him laid outside of the role of
Exactly.
Batman.
Dude,
I'm just saying, right? And so he's carrying this too far.
do we have the same conversation about Superman and Lois Lane, or Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, all this kind of stuff? I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't-
you gotta. Everything's so perverted now,
Yeah.
already, right?
like
that's not.
Well, no one's more perverted on this panel than Brian from the Popcast. I
That's
want
true.
to throw this question to him because he's also our DC expert, right? The DC
How am I
comics.
the
that
most
he loves.
perverted one to hear that? I don't get that.
Brian, you probably
Oh,
dream
please.
about Smurfette and Smurf Village doing all a bunch of weird Smurf.
Smurfette's
Facts.
hot, bro. What do you want from me? She's hot.
Dirty little slut.
I mean, it's weird that she you chooses to spend all of her time with nothing but dudes, you know,
La 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 la.
Oh boy.
doing the Lord's
Uh,
work over there. What would they do without her?
Isn't Smurfette trans though? Isn't that?
God, I hope not. That
Oh,
would
I
just
hope not. That just makes it
Kind
worse.
of technically, yes.
God.
Technically, everyone is.
Odin, I'm out of here.
Anyways, Matt, what's your question?
Well, I was just gonna say, like,
Oh, we know his questions.
like in this article, they kind of point out that Tim Burton leaned heavy into like the fetish stuff with Batman and Catwoman and the rubber suits and stuff like that. And it seemed like Joel Schumacher took that up a notch, where he, put anatomically correct aspects to like the bat suits
Right,
and
nipples.
things of that nature. But to me, like I feel like this idea that comics need to be fetishized or kind of like sexualized, over sexualized, especially in terms of like how Zack Snyder presented the DC universe and stuff like that. Do you think that going forward we're going to see more of this or less of it?
I think we're gonna see more of it in like the quote unquote progressive state. Like we're gonna see more and more characters that just happen to be gay or trans or deal with these like social issues that our society has deemed the most important thing in the world is what your identity is. So you need to apply your identity to these characters that have been around for 100 years. We're going to see that. So like the sexual preferences are going to continually make their way into comic books and comic book movies and TV shows because that's all this. It's weird. It's this new generation is very odd. Like they don't want to see sex in movies, but they also want to ship everything. So they want to see their very specific,
very
weird,
strange.
furry, trans,
I
whatever.
think you
They
might
want
be
to see their
mixing
identity.
two groups together there accidentally, Brian. Though that's just my opinion, but because
What do you mean?
I think there's a slightly older group that is this perverted. They're the ones that are making all this crap, right? But
Sure.
what that has done is inadvertently made a generation come up underneath it now, which is like a part where my kids
Yeah.
are part of that generation. Because we never got to it yet, but we had been doing this study or looking into the study that was done about this whole thing that you're talking about, where they said kids are tired of all this sex and everything. And it's kind of,
You're right.
The
There's two
problem with
separate
it
groups
is-
there, but they're
yeah, because
symbiotic.
one group is saying that now they don't know how to actually have friendships because everything is about sex. So all they know now is like these
Mhm.
basically friends with benefits and stuff
Right.
like that. They don't know even real
Well, I mean that
relationships and
that
stuff.
first
But
group
anyway,
you
that's
mentioned,
yeah,
that first
yeah.
group you mentioned groomed the second group you mentioned. That's
Yeah.
the problem. They groomed it with media and with weird progressive ideology. This is where we're at. And I don't know, I think age and maturity will probably fix a lot of people if they don't go so far gone that they can't even like interact with folks anymore. But as far as comic books and movies and that kind of stuff, it's going to continue to be a problem until Suits, and unfortunately, like Suits and studios who don't want to lose money, they're going to be like, you know what? No, I'm sorry, we cannot make like Batman was not a woman at some point. We can't do that. Like they're going to push back because a large portion of fans, the majority are still like, hey, stop with this weird ideology. Stop messing up our characters and stop gender bending them and adding their sexual preferences to everything we do. Just tell good stories and shut up.
Agreed.
Well, what do you guys think is Zack Snyder's role in all this? Because he seems to be out there very much advocating for an overly sexualized form of Batman, especially in the movies. And
Guy needs
if
to get
you
laid
watch-
or something, man. Something's wrong with him.
And if you watch that
Uh.
that Joe Rogan interview, that's also the interview where he did that dubious math about Rebel Moon
Oh yeah.
and how it
Yeah.
made more money than like any movie in the history
Right.
of movies
I remember.
if it had sold tickets instead of
Well,
being
there you go.
free
Well,
on
I already told
Netflix.
you he's a
Yeah.
delusional, latent homosexual, right? Like that, probably even worse than that. To be honest with you, it's more like the
Well-
kind that likes younger folks. I'm not going to say
I
the
feel like
words out
he's-
loud. I'm not going to go directly to that point, but it's sus.
I feel
as
like he's
fuck.
the kind who might be on a certain list. that
Exactly.
starts with an E. an
Yeah,
E-list.
let's not even get too deep into it. But no. At the end of the day, he's obsessed with it for some fucking reason. He's a
Diddy
big
files.
proponent of it, and a lot of the people behind the scenes are too. So that's where the shit's coming from. And yeah, was it a little titillating to see Catwoman and doing all? Yeah, absolutely. It woke my 12-year-old self up. But you know what? At that time, I didn't get the connection. Now, as an adult, I can watch it and go, "Oh, clearly, I see what Tim Burton's doing here." He's saying, "Oh, she's taking control of her life," so that combine that with the BDSM thing. Yeah, it makes sense. But at the time, as kids, we didn't see that. We didn't understand all that stuff.
Yeah, we did.
That's the thing, is you can do two levels to this stuff, and it still work for both adults and kids. But they're trying to actually make it perverted, right? Like that's the problem. Is they're going out of their way to actually make the thing so in your face, and it is almost like a grooming of sorts.
And the weird part about this article was they specifically called out Bruce Timm, who was the guy behind like Batman the animated series and stuff like that, and how Bruce Timm, for the longest time, wanted to have this relationship between Batgirl and Batman, and they finally got the chance to do it in their Killing Joke adaptation. And the backlash from fans kind of woke them up to the fact like, oh, this is not something that we should be, further exploring. In
Right.
fact, in the article, they mentioned how a studio executive actually floated this idea to them. They're like, we already tried that. We're going nowhere near that ever again,
Mhm.
because the fan backlash was so like powerful, because not only did it piss off like the regular fans who were like, dude, she's an underage girl and she's his apprentice and like also the daughter of his best friend, also like the women that they were trying to appeal to, who are like the feminists, who are like, oh, you're saying that she needs a man in order to feel empowered, so like they just pissed off both sides. And so like the fact that Bruce Timm was also kind of going down this route, but he was smart enough to see how the fans reacted and backtracked from it, I think is very telling. And it's one of those things, guys, where, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this real quick before we move on. Like Bruce Timm seems to be one of the few people in Hollywood who actually like pays attention to the fans, whereas Zack Snyder doesn't give a crap. Todd Phillips doesn't give a crap. They make stuff for themselves, and they're very selfish in that regard, and they just continue to piss off the fans. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good job, Matt.
Yes, thank you.
We all agree with you.
Thank you.
Well, you didn't throw it to anybody. I'm used to that, so I wasn't sure if we should just start
It was
talking.
an, it was an
over each
open
other.
panel.
Yeah,
It was an open
yeah.
panel question.
That was a
Well,
weird
no,
thing. I
like
wasn't
Bruce
used to.
Timm is an old school guy. He comes from the Batman animated series and a bunch of other stuff that he's worked on in the past, and he understands that it's more about the audience and not himself, right? So, and Zach is all about himself at the end of the day. Let's be real. If you can sit there and watch the Justice League Snyder cut and not see it for what it is, even if you like it, that's fine. But it is just basically him, ejaculating all over himself for 4.5 fucking hours.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it though.
You can like it all you want, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's not a movie that needs to be 4.5 fucking hours.
Yeah.
You're just overindulgent, and that's what Zack Snyder is, a very overindulgent individual who has basically been sidelined by Hollywood. That's why Netflix is the only people who will work with him, and even they're getting to the point where they're just kind of like, yeah, we're not seeing any returns on a lot of this stuff, or people aren't watching it as much as you claim, because as Warner Brothers learned and others learned, this guy is a shyster of some sort. Like there's something about him that I've heard enough stuff to where, and I'm not even talking about the sexual side of it now. I'm just talking about the way he does business.
Kind of a
Right,
used car salesman, right?
It is, because he lied about, he basically hired these PR firms to help push for his Snyder cut, and Warner Brothers found out, and they thought it was, he made him believe it was all fans and stuff. And yeah, he had Snyder campaigns, but if you go look into it, most of the money comes from like 3 or 4 big fish, right? Like it's not like it's a ton of people. And then at the end of the day, yeah, he's got his nice little fan base, but it ain't worth spending $300-400 million on a movie for. Because
Right.
ain't that many people going to come see it. because people already know he's quickly becoming the next Michael Bay in that respect, because people already know what to expect on him. He's a meme. I mean, he literally had he had
Michael Bay's
slow
had
motion
hits.
farming. Yeah, but he had slow motion farming in Rebel Moon, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, Michael Bay's successful.
True.
Michael Bay knows how to make a Michael Bay movie.
I mean, he's made a lot of.
yeah.
He still makes.
Michael
that's
Bay
what we-
isn't as
that's what we
pretentious.
appreciate.
That's the
I
difference.
like Michael Bay movies. Yeah.
Michael Bay at least is aware
yeah.
that the audience has to like what
And-
he's making too. That's the big
And you have
difference.
romance in there, but it's not. It's Michael Bay knows his movie.
Like
And there's
you
lots of
watch
explosions.
Explosion,
slow motion, and
Didn't he do Bad Boys too?
Yeah.
Probably
Bad
got
Boys
Ryan
1
Reynolds in it.
and Bad
He's
Boys
behind
too, but-
Bad Boys. That's what I'm saying. Is like and then you got the.
Well, I'm
you
not
got big
dissing on him. I
stars, you got-
said he.
No, but
he's
you're
well
comparing
aware
them.
that
I
there's
don't
an
think
audience.
I don't think there's a
But the
comparison.
difference is Zach is making shit for himself. Michael Bay is making stuff for his audience. But I was comparing him in a sense that
Not
they
all the
become
time.
a meme, right? Like people know the meme with Michael Bay. It's kind of the same thing with Zach, only he's worse.
Yeah, Ambulance was
think-
garbage. I'm sorry.
I-
He made
I
that in
think Fa-
2022.
I think famously,
People liked it.
I
Zack
like
Snyder-
the ambulance.
People liked
Of
it.
course you did.
I think
I did, I thought it was
famously, the whole release the Snyder.
I like
Cut
how
thing,
Odin is above a movie about an ambulance. I'm just saying.
Well, he's not wrong though. That movie was
It's a
very
Odin,
good.
Ah.
but
No, it's
the movie-
not.
So
Great. I like the actress in it too, whatever her name is.
I think it's very.
Isa
I think it's very
Gonzalez.
telling here that basically Zack Snyder's famous for that release the Snyder Cut campaign, where it was entirely astroturfed. Tom mentioned this, like he hired numerous PR firms that use bot armies on social
That I
media
didn't know.
to basically create this idea that there was a demand for his version of the Justice League, and he was able to basically fool Warner Brothers into releasing his cut and even giving him money to like finish it. And then once all that was done, it came out that there were shenanigans, that this was entirely astroturf. Yeah, there was like a small portion of people who were like, yeah, release the Snyder Cut. But for the most part, all the Snyder bros, all the most toxic people out there that would attack you for daring to criticize Zack Snyder, they were all bots from PR firms that worked for Zack Snyder.
yeah, they've been quiet lately.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
once Elon
Yeah.
purged all the bots, right?
Gone.
It's
Yeah,
like
he lost his army.
And
Yeah,
Zach
the-
don't have the money anymore either. That's the other thing too. Yeah.
I know guys that go to his Zach events.
He's
Well,
gotta
he
have his
has
fans.
a fan base. I'm not
Yeah,
saying he doesn't.
he's got his
Yeah.
cult fan base.
I mean,
It's
I
just
can't
not
sit
as
here and
big
say
as he tries
I
to present it.
dislike everything he's ever made. I like a lot of his stuff.
I like
but,
some of his
but
stuff.
he's a little weird. He's
You guys know
Yeah.
what isn't weird?
What?
Super chats.
Wow.
We
yeah.
got Fleeky Oki for $2.
Transition.
Legit question: is Zack Snyder retarded?
No, Down syndrome people are smarter than Zach.
Hey-oh.
Oh my god.
there you go.
And Tom would know.
Well,
I think he's just a
Geeks
narcissist.
Geeks and Gamers has no affiliation with Zack Snyder.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good to know.
That was hilarious.
Scotty Dub for $9.99. Come on, Mr. Kadish, get it right. Hashtag LFGDJT 17
Let's
days
effing
to
go. Donald J. Trump, 17 days.
17 days.
Wow.
17 days to find out if my stock is ruined forever.
I'll tell you this, Brian. If Trump does get back into office, I think it's going to be a net positive for Disney in terms of like the financials. And
Yeah, I
and
think
the
so
stock
too.
market in
I think it'll be
general.
a net positive for everyone here. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Yes.
It's going to be
But
weird
he's-
at first because we're going to end up dealing with the final because if he does win, they're going to freak out.
But he's
Oh,
a
man.
fascist, guys. He's
the
he-
worldwide ring.
But that's the reason why.
What's wrong with
Glorious.
fashion?
I don't know.
I love
But
fashion.
think about that, right? Like, because we're talking about
Not
someone who's
fashion,
believed to be a
fascist.
fascist, and they've already tried to do certain things to him. Imagine if he also happens to win, and like, imagine the amount of threats against him between if he wins versus like when he's going into office. Like, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Imagine
nuts.
all
Yes.
the-
Yeah,
What else is
that's pretty
insane
much gonna
is
be the
Mark of
insane
Reality's
period.
$20
Thank
super
you.
chat.
Yes.
I'm not as religious as Odin or Melanie Mac per se, but I agree that I'm sick and tired of this LGBTQ plus agenda being shoved down my throat. LGBTQ is a very small part of society.
Mm.
It's also sick and weird.
And,
All
and
true.
also,
All
to
true.
extrapolate on that, the T part of that is the even smaller part and smaller segment because there are
tiny
many
segment,
people. There are many people who are. I have a lot of people follow me
Lot of
on
people.
YouTube, and there's many who are part of the community, and they say I have nothing to do with the T. I have nothing to do with all the extra stuff. So it's like even within there.
What's funny, Odin, is I was scrolling through Twix today, and there was a post on there about how trans women are upset that lesbian dating apps are not allowing them to join because the biological women lesbians on those apps don't want to date men pretending to be women.
Right.
Well, you have the same thing in the reverse too. Yeah.
But
Imagine all the
this is where
guys
we
that are
got
like, wait a
to-
minute, I could just pretend to be a woman and
lesbian?
go on a
Yeah.
lesbian
and these aren't
challenge
trans women
unlocked.
who have transitioned. They're just men who are dressing up as women and saying that they're
They
gay.
just put a dress on and
Like
be
a
like,
sitcom.
"Hi, my name is Jennifer."
Well, what I was going to say too is kind of what Odin was saying, but just a little bit different angle on it. And it's like, yeah, like you have this whole thing where the L and the G part of that whole thing is kind of rejecting the rest of them because you're like, you're hijacking our, movement, and we don't agree with most of the crap you guys are into. Just like most gay men don't want a fake gay dude, most lesbians don't want a fake lesbian woman. It's just a fact.
The fact that you have a Twitter handle, you have like a group of people called Gays Against Groomers, and they're called right wing.
Exactly.
Simply for the fact
Yep.
that they are against people who groom others. It's like, are you kidding me? That's
They're
insane.
right wing because they're against groomers. Everyone should be against groomers.
Seriously.
What a weird thing to say. Yeah, talk about
Well, it was a
self-reporting,
weird
huh?
shift in the generations because, like, the old gay regime, all they wanted was to be able to get married, to live in peace, not have to worry about, the day-to-day bullshit they were dealing with on a daily basis. They didn't want anything more than that. They got that and they were happy. This new group come in, they want to turn everybody gay, right? Like, that's the thing. And all the gay folk are like, no, we kind of liked having our own little space over here. Like,
I mean, Tom-
why are you doing this to us?
Tom brings up a really, really good point. Because I mean, all our friends, me, Roman, myself, they're all gay couples, beautiful people, wonderful people, and when I say that, it's like us. They're just normal like us.
Right.
Everyone's got their day-to-day stuff that they got to do. They got their careers, they got their ups and downs. And here's the interesting twist, right? Is that what Hollywood thinks it's trying to do? It's actually ruining it for all these wonderful, fine people who've been entertaining us since Hollywood has begun.
That's right.
Have you guys seen that Babylon Bee post where it says, parents overly concerned once Drag Queen Story Hour's title has been changed to Grown Men Dressed in Lingerie Want to Read to Your Kids?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a bit much.
Yeah.
This whole drag queen
The
story.
actual description of it is so absurd.
That's human behavior for you. Always take it
Oh
to
my god,
the
it's so
extremes.
funny.
And you think you're so into the particular cause that you're fighting, and you totally get lost in it, and you alienate potential allies and friends from the past because it's like, you've taken it too far.
Yeah, it's also
You
too
know?
thin. It's too
What's that?
thin. It's too thin. It's surface level support because that's why if you use certain phrasing, they're like, oh, I'm all for that. But then if you actually change the wording to describe what it actually is, that's when you see I don't know about that.
Grown men in lingerie read books to your children.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, you had all these was it the Armenian families? The Armenian families. Well, we'll go on because we're just
All right, guys. So we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank everyone for being here. And I also want to thank everyone who dropped super chats because this is definitely going to be demonetized. But in studio, definitely not our normal kind of format.
Vibe is a little off today for me. I'm not gonna lie.
It's hard to host and do all the producing duties and stuff like that. So next time we do this, we're going to have someone in the background running things for me. or hosting. Hey, Dutch Butters, you could host.
I don't host.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not a host.
Well,
He does hostess, not host.
Yeah.
Oh,
But want to go around to our fantastic panel of nerds. Paulie, thank you so much for driving all the way out to Las Vegas to be here in studio with us today. Why don't you give us your final thoughts and where can people find more of you?
no, it was my pleasure, guys. We've grown a nice friendship here. We want to keep it going. So it's like I got to see you guys once or twice a year.
Yeah.
The holidays are going to come, and then soon, the next thing you know, it's going to be the March. Was it the CinemaCon, which we'll be out here again for. So I want to thank everyone in the chat. You have a fantastic chat. Jay for coming on through. I want to thank the panel, Odin and Brian, and I think that's it, right? Yeah. Oh, Nadia. Gotta thank Nadia, but no one else on the panel, right? Oh,
Odin,
Tom
Brian.
Connors. No,
Yeah.
see, I'm just busting balls. TheLatinoSlant.com. That's it. We do reviews on the website that are different from the YouTube channel, and then I'll do the newsletters and all that stuff. We're growing, and I absolutely love what I do. And so if you care so much to support, come and check us out. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And by the way, links to Paulie's YouTube channel are in the description and pinned in the chat. So be sure to check him out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to him. Odin from OMB Reviews, King of Pineapple Pizza, Lord of the Shelves. What are your final thoughts and where can people find more of you?
Every time you say pineapple on pizza, I just want to smack you in the face. But you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube,
Someone needs
Odyssey,
confession.
Rumble, over on X as well. I love you, Matt.
Yeah, not very Christian of you, Odin.
Yes, which is why
All your
I said
violence.
afterwards, I love you. But it's not very Christian,
This
pineapple on
hurts
pizza.
me more than it hurts you.
Yeah,
Because
pineapple on pizza is not
the work
Christian.
of the devil.
That is
So
just satanic. It's Satan worship.
I
It's
should have
Satan worship.
specified that the
I'm getting
slap
so
would be
I guess I'm going to
with
hell.
this with
Right.
this Saint
I love
Benedict's
pineapple
metal
on pizza.
ring that would then smack the demon out of you. So
Get that
that's all I have to
pineapple
say.
out of here.
that's all I have to say about that.
All right. And Tom Connors Jr. from Midnight's Edge. What are your final thoughts and where can people find more of you?
The homie.
Yeah, I don't think pineapple should go on pizza either. I think everybody should know by now, it's a scientific fact that pineapple goes bad the moment you put it on pizza, and so does the pizza.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
It all
agree.
goes in your mouth.
Well, you already got tomatoes pretending to be vegetables. You don't need another fruit on your pizza.
True.
If you want fruit on your pizza, you have fruit pizza. There's
Yeah.
already a
Pizza.
recipe for that. You make it. Anyway, that being
I'm
said, I don't
so
even know what I'm
hungry.
talking about
I'm
anymore.
so hungry
I
right
know,
now.
me too.
What?
All right. Brian from the Popcast. Any
Food?
final
Hey.
thoughts and where can people find more
Midnight's
of you?
Edge.
Final
Yeah, but-
thoughts. Pineapple on pizza is super gay, and if you eat it, then I'm sorry, that makes you gay. And if you're into that, it's fine. You can find me at the Popcast and Unleashed, Pop Culture Unleashed, every Thursday around 4:00 sometime, or whenever Shane decides to grace me with his presence. And I love being here, hanging out with you guys.
It's life.
And I gotta say, great to see you again, Paulie. I feel like I've known you my whole life, like maybe because I've known a lot of people exactly like you. So every time I see you, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. We're
Aren't you guys
boys.
neighbors? Aren't you guys
We're
neighbors?
boys and we're friends, which makes us boyfriends.
You guys both live in California, so I know you're like,
And we're Latino.
Yeah,
Hey,
We're
hey,
probably
it's
super
neighborhood.
close, and we don't know. This guy's like next door, and I don't even know he's this close. No, I live.
I'm in Midtown. Where are you at?
I'm
in
in
LA.
Santa Ana, Orange County.
Oh shoot. Okay. All
you're
right.
neighbors right there.
Well, Alan Ning is a neighbor of Brian. Alan's in,
Oh, nice.
in Orange County.
Okay.
But maybe we'll talk about checking out a movie. Let's all meet up in.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, we do live
Right.
close enough to do that. Let's go
Yeah.
watch Superman together, man. Superman 2025.
Well, that's next year, dog. I'm talking about next couple
That's
months.
true.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it next couple months. Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
private message me. I'll give you my phone number.
Orale.
Brian's like, I want to hang out, but not for another couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in like a
Always
few
the
months.
best film ever because it's DC.
Let's go see.
I mean,
Zack
that's the only
Snyder.
movie I'm looking forward to right now. So
All right. Mr. Butters,
Yeah.
what's going on with the Salty Nerd Gaming channel?
Well, apparently I'm a big gay demon because I love pineapple on my pizza.
oh, God.
Sounds like a
it's,
Zack Snyder film.
I know.
Gay demon.
Big gay demon with pineapple pizza.
I love it.
You can find me here on this channel doing stuff, and I'm also spending most of my time over on the Salty Nerd Gaming channel doing live streams over there and 2 podcasts a week with Salt Divers and
Wow.
Weekend Respawn. So that's keeping me super busy. So
fun stuff.
Yep.
All right. I want to give a big shout out to our Saturday superstars, Scotty Dubb and Mark of Reality. They are top tier people giving us all these great super chats,
Yes.
especially Scotty Dubb, who hit us for $100 today. Really appreciate
Wow.
your support, Scotty. And that's just his single super chat. Yeah.
Hey, make sure you subscribe to the Latino Slant. Come in. Just,
Yeah.
that's
Just come on and pilch our super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hey, it's called the Reconquest. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. But also want to give a big shout out to Mexican Iron Man,
Yeah.
Anthony Mark, Rolando A. Ramirez,
Orlando.
Darth Maul's lower half,
those names.
Kaliki Oki, and Scotty Dubb and Mark of Reality as well. Guys, if you are a Salt Sea Saturday superstar, you get your name in the description of every video that we put out. And it goes until it resets at the beginning of the new year. So you still got a couple months to get up on there. So really appreciate you guys for all your support. And be sure to tune in next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel. I believe our guest is going to be Keanu. She's coming back.
Keanu Reeves?
No, not Keanu Reeves. That'd be cool if it was. But
Hi,
It can happen. It can happen.
I'm so happy to be
I'm here to talk about Star Wars.
Salty Nerd Podcast.
Why are you guys so salty?
Whoa.
Whoa.
I'm going to show you my British accent.
your breath.
How dost thou do?
Occasionally, like once a month, Tom's actually.
Just
He's on the new Ancient Apocalypse season 2.
Yeah, he's great on it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sitting there
I just
talking.
felt like
So the
things
same,
should be different.
the guy that
You
gave,
know?
the guy that trained me and gave me my black belt
Mhm.
trained Keanu in his black belt.
Nice.
So he made John Wick.
I just want to meet him so I can ask him to get me 2. Give me 2 steaks, man.
Utah. Give me two.
Give me
No,
2.
Utah.
All right, guys. Stay salty, my friends, and we will see you next Saturday.